Yeah, about to have me some duckton. What the what the heck? What the heck? I had my mouth. What the
Do you really believe that garbage?
It's not about believing, it's a matter of fact.
So you believe.
Well, nobody else could make a decision but me because I was the president. The final decision comes to the president.
You know, it's easy enough for a Monday morning quarterback to say what the coach should have done after the game's over. But when the decision is up before you, and on my desk I have a motto which says the buck stops here, the decision has to be made.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
And I want to say this to the television audience. I made my mistakes, but in all of my years of public life, I have never profited from public service. I've earned every cent. And in all of my years of public life, I have never obstructed justice. And I think, too, that I could say that in my years of public life, that I welcome this kind of examination because people have got to know whether or not their president's a crook. Well, I'm not a crook. I've earned everything I've got.
President?
Yep.
Mr. President, I want to raise an issue that I think has been lurking out there for 2 or 3 weeks and cast it specifically in national security terms. You already are the oldest president in history, and some of your staff say you were tired after your most recent encounter with Mr. Mondale. I recall yet that President Kennedy had to go for days on end with very little sleep during the Cuba Missile Crisis. Is there any doubt in your mind that you would be able to function in such circumstances?
Not at all, Mr. Truitt, and I want you to know that also I will not make age an issue of this campaign. I am not going to exploit for political purposes my opponent's youth and inexperience.
And I'm the one who will not raise taxes. My opponent now says he'll raise them as a last resort or a third resort. But when a politician talks like that, you know that's one resort he'll be checking into. And my opponent won't rule out raising taxes, but I will, and the Congress will push me to raise taxes, and I'll say no. And they'll push, and I'll say no. And they'll push again, and I'll say to them, read my lips. No new taxes.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
You're full of shit.
All right, thank you.
No, shush. Shush.
In any country, prison is where society society sends its failures. But in this country, society itself is failing.
I'd like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
We won the evangelicals. We won with young. We won with old. We won with highly educated. We won with poorly educated. I love the poorly educated.
Niggas, you crazy.
Grab him by the pussy.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Stay shut your mouth. Because you don't know what you're talking about. Yes, I did.
Hold it, tough guy. I'm not afraid of physical.
Hold it. Don't sit there and tell me I'm not.
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, fool me once, shame on you. You fool me, we can't get fooled again.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people. Stand back and stand by. Will you shut up, man?
Last thing was Olivia Gondak. It says that I wanted to eat her pussy. Olivia Gondak. I've never said that in my life tour. I would never do that. I'm happily married. I've got more than enough to eat at home. Thank you very much.
You got to come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Okay. I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody, and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible. I went to an Ivy League school. I'm very highly educated. I know words. I had the best words. We now have a gun on every table. We're ready to start shooting.
By the way, maybe you could inject some bleach in your arm, and that would take care of it. This is the same man.
That was said sarcastically.
That was... Even though they're trying to impeach the son of a bitch. Can you believe that? You believe that? That's enough. Put down the mic.
Mr. President, are you worried about indictments coming down in this investigation?
Punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
If I may ask one other question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, I was going to ask one other.
I don't want reality. I'm asking the question, which one is better? That's exactly what it is.
Got it on tape.
What a stupid son of a bitch.
I don't like words that hide the truth. I don't like words that conceal reality. I don't like euphemisms or euphemistic language. And American English is loaded with euphemisms because Americans have a lot of trouble dealing with reality. Americans have trouble facing the truth. So they invent a kind of a soft language to protect themselves from it. And it gets worse with every generation. For some reason, it just keeps getting worse.
How stupid are these politicians to allow this to happen?
If you want to run your mouth, we can be two consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on.
Big
No,
guy.
oh, stop it.
Is that your solution every poll?
No, sit down.
Sorry, Eric.
Sit down. Okay.
You're saying it's a falsehood, and they're giving Sean Spicer, our press secretary, gave alternative facts. Alternative facts. Alternative facts. Alternative facts.
All right, here we go. It's Tuesday, and it's another TFP Tuesday. This week, we're going to be covering the State of the Union address from last week, Joe Biden's State of the Union 2024. I'm Van Cat, and I'm going to be with the world's most dangerous political panel. That'll MD and Ricardo will be here momentarily. This is episode number 24 for TFP, and we are going to examine, like I said, the State of the Union address, the fiery State of the Union address that Joe Biden just gave to us. Before we continue, I do want to acknowledge Tequila, just amazing moderator. Thank you so much for the support here. Just extraordinary work here. And we appreciate everything you do. Here joining me on the panel right now is Ricardo. How you doing, Ricardo?
Hey, Venkat. Good afternoon, everybody at TFP's Politics. I'm doing quite well. How are we doing this week?
Well, we got a lot to talk about this week. A lot of ongoings. So before we get down to the rundown on everything, of course, we got Lame Duck coming. We have some very interesting videos that we want to analyze certain things that have to do with the election, fundraising, and some words that Trump said at one point during the week. There's a lot of things to uncover, but the lead story today is the State of the Union address. So we'll go right into highlights of that address, and then on the other end, we'll give our thoughts. So there we go.
President Biden delivering a feisty and animated State of the Union address tonight. Probably one of the most political addresses I have ever heard before a joint chamber at this time, drawing a sharp contrast with Republicans. And while he did not mention Donald Trump's name, he referred to his predecessor more than a dozen times, taunting Republicans at times.
Tonight, I come to this same chamber to address the nation. Now, it's we who face an unprecedented moment in the history of the Union. And yes, my purpose tonight is to wake up the Congress and alert the American people that this is no ordinary moment either. If anybody in this room thinks Putin will stop at Ukraine, I assure you he will not. But Ukraine can stop Putin. Ukraine can stop Putin if we stand with Ukraine and provide the weapons that needs to defend itself. That is all. That is all Ukraine is asking. They're not asking for American soldiers. In fact, there are no American soldiers at war in Ukraine, and I'm determined to keep it that way. But now, assistance to Ukraine is being blocked by those who want to walk away from our world leadership. It wasn't long ago when a Republican president named Ronald Reagan thundered, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." Now my predecessor, a former Republican president, tells Putin, quote, "Do whatever the hell you want." That's a quote. A former president actually said that, bowing down to a Russian leader. I think it's outrageous, it's dangerous, and it's unacceptable. In a literal sense, history is watching. History is watching. Just like history watched 3 years ago on January 6th, when insurrectionists stormed this very Capitol and placed a dagger to the throat of American democracy. Many of you were here on that darkest of days. We all saw with our own eyes the insurrectionists were not patriots. They'd come to stop the peaceful transfer of power, to overturn the will of the people. January 6th lies about the 2020 election and the plots to steal the election posed a gravest threat to U.S. democracy since the Civil War. But they failed. America stood. America stood strong and democracy prevailed. We must be honest. The threat to democracy must be defended. my predecessor and some of you here seek to bury the truth about January 6th. I will not do that. This is the moment to speak the truth and to bury the lies. Here's the simple truth. You can't love your country only when you win. Remember your oath of office of defending against all threats, foreign and domestic. Respect free and fair elections. Restore trust in our institutions. And make clear political violence has absolutely no place in America, zero place. Again, it's not hyperbole to suggest history is watching. We're watching. Your children and grandchildren will read about this day and what we do. In November, my team began serious negotiation with a bipartisan group of senators. The result was a bipartisan bill with the toughest set of border security reforms we've ever seen. Oh, you don't think so? Oh, you don't like that bill, huh? That conservatives got together and said it was a good bill? I'll be darned. That's amazing. That bipartisan bill would hire 1,500 more security agents and officers, 100 more immigration judges to help tackle the backload of 2 million cases, 4,300 more asylum officers, and new policies so they can resolve cases in 6 months instead of 6 years now. What are you against? 100 more high-tech drug detection machines to significantly increase the ability to screen and stop vehicles smuggling fentanyl into America. The Border Patrol Union has endorsed this bill. The Federal Chamber of Commerce is, yeah. You're saying low. Look at the facts. I know you know how to read. I'm told my predecessor called members of Congress in the Senate to demand they block the bill.
President Biden was fired up during his final State of the Union before the 2024 election. And despite Republicans being told to behave, conservative firebrand Marjorie Taylor Greene couldn't hold back. Decked out in a red Make America Great Again cap, she heckled the president from her seat.
Joe Biden's rousing State of the Union address is getting lots of reaction. There's life in the old boy yet. Biden on fire. He's alive.
Remarkable, fiery, powerful, vigorous.
Overall, I think most people are going to say that looks like a man who's up to the job.
There is palpable relief at the White House today. In fact, I dare say the campaign's doing something of a victory lap.
But his critics are slamming the speech as partisan and angry.
I might call him Jacked Up Joe. He sounded like a hyper-caffeinated, angry old man.
The night was packed with drama right from the start.
The President of the United States.
He was 15 minutes late after pro-Palestine protesters blocked the streets outside the Capitol. But then the president took his sweet time getting to the podium, chatting with lawmakers, taking selfies. He did a double take when he spotted firebrand Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene in a bright red jacket and MAGA hat with a Say Her Name t-shirt honoring Laken Riley, the nursing student murdered in Georgia, allegedly at the hands of an illegal migrant. She handed him a button with Laken's name on it and urged him to say her name. During his speech, she also heckled him relentlessly. And he did, pulling out the button and saying Laken's name, although he flubbed it.
Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed.
Today, Laken's mother, Allison, is blasting the president. Biden does not even know my child's name. It's pathetic, she writes on Facebook. If you are going to say her name, even when forced to do so, at least say the right name. There was lots more heckling and interruptions, with the president firing right back.
Oh, you don't like that bill, huh?
But he was thrown when a Gold Star dad started yelling from the public gallery. Stephen Nakui's son Kareem was killed during the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan in 2021. He was detained by the Capitol Police and led out of the chamber in handcuffs. Donald Trump was mentioned 13 times, but never by name.
My predecessor.
Trump gave a bizarre play-by-play on social media, using childish filters to mock Biden.
And the benefit expires in 2025.
After his speech, Biden was in no hurry to leave. The praise from Democrats all caught on a hot mic.
Nobody's going to talk about cognitive impairment now.
I will not demonize immigrants saying they are poison in the blood of our country. I will not separate families. We can fight about fixing the border, or we can fix it. I'm ready to fix it. Send me the border bill now. Like most Americans, I believe Roe v. Wade got it right. There are state laws banning the freedom to choose, criminalizing doctors, forcing survivors of rape and incest to leave their states to get the treatment they need. Many of you in this chamber and my predecessor are promising to pass a national ban on reproductive freedom. My God, what freedom else would you take away? Look, it's a decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. The Supreme Court majority wrote the following, and with all due respect, justices, women are not without electoral or political power. You're about to realize just how much you're right about that. Those bragging about overturning Roe v. Wade have no clue about the power of women. But they found out when reproductive freedom was on the ballot. We won in 2022 and 2020, and we'll win again in 2024. The pandemic no longer controls our lives. The vaccines that saved us from COVID are now being used to beat cancer, turning setback into comeback. That's what America does. That's what America does. Folks, my inherited economy is on the brink. Now our economy is literally the envy of the world. 15 million new jobs in just 3 years, a record, a record. Unemployment at 50-year lows. A record 16 million Americans are starting small businesses, and each one is a literal act of hope. With historic job growth and small business growth for Black and Hispanics and Asian Americans, 800,000 new manufacturing jobs in America and counting.
All right. So there was some of the highlights there from this week's past State of the Union address from Joe Biden. So just off the top, Ricardo, what was your impression of the address?
The address was very, I would say, very astute. It was very straight to the point, very poignant. I didn't see anything that would make me go, okay, well, he was lacking there off in terms of, cognitive wise, or he was slow or lagging. It didn't seem like that. It was more very straightforward, very poignant, very to the point, very specific, very informative. It's pretty much him laying the groundwork for his second stance in terms of going for the second election. I thought it was very well done, very well versed. It is, or it did come across very, very bipartisan, if that word, because again, both sides, so it wasn't that bad in terms of how it was conveyed. I really did think he could have gone a little bit more further, but being bipartisan is the only way the Democrats are going to be able to get anything done, and I kind of get why he went that direction. But with that being stated, there's so much groundwork that he has to still do leading into November. There is a lot of infighting on the Democratic side as well that, I hate to, bring it up, but at least the Democratic side of the politics is not showing that card so much more than the Republicans are. So I do applaud his efforts, and I look forward to seeing anything or everything that he stated in the speech to come into fruition. So, let's see how that works out for you, Joe.
All right. Yeah, I was just bringing MD on. Sorry about that, Ricardo. Yeah, great point there. You're saying that he was a little bipartisan. Well, the Republicans on Fox News, they seem to have lost their minds. They seem to have lost their minds on him being a little too much. But it's interesting to see the different takes on it. So, Jeremy Dunbar, have you had a chance to see the anything on the the address? And if so, what were your take on what was said?
Well, I saw the part that you guys played. Um, it sounds to me, I mean, I give him credit for at least he was, I'll give Joe Biden credit. He was a little more up to the task of speaking, which we haven't really seen. So I'll give credit there. As far as the points he was making, I've heard this is the same routine over and over again. It's the same playbook, and he masquerades with passion, as they all do. Once they get into office, virtually nothing happens of the things that they mention. So to me, it's a bunch of foolery. I don't trust. You guys have heard me moreover. I don't trust them. I don't believe what they say. I believe he's just trying to collect votes by saying what seems like the hot topic for the moment. And he brought, it's funny he mentions he brought fentanyl in. Well, if you know your history, fentanyl and all these other drugs is big business for them. So they're not going to stop it, just like they're not going to stop packing prisons, just like they're not going to stop poverty, because everything they do benefits the rich. The erosion of the middle class is here. It's here. You're either poor or you're rich. The fact of him bringing up raw numbers for statistical purposes is a joke, because when you look at, like we mentioned last week, if you look at the minimum wage that they raised in California as a prime example, $20 an hour is absolutely nothing in California. And so manufacturing jobs, in all reality, don't pay you anything. So he's bringing up points that are, yes, you have jobs of a choice of this job, but this job you're not going to be able to get by. It's the same song and dance. They talk about the unemployment rates, but they don't get into what is the average income per household, and is it below the poverty level? Why are we seeing, I see it personally, more people living in tents? Why am I seeing that at an alarming rate, yet they promise all of these things, and every time they do it, it's the same song and dance. It's more poverty, more crime, no matter who it is, whether it's him, whether it's Trump, I don't care who it is. They just bring more problems. They spend. For instance, his first thing he mentions, Russia and Ukraine. Yeah, let's dump more money over there that we can't afford to feed our own people, but let's go over there and dump money. Just like let's dump money in Israel to pay for genocide. Yeah, that's a great idea. Let's keep doing that. As Israelis are committing genocide on Philistines, and then you have those who are of Hamas committing genocide on the other side. It's foolishness. If you really want to stop it, stop killing, stop paying to kill, stop pay to feed people versus making weapons of mass destruction. Then I'll believe you. But until then, they're all liars.
So you would like to see United States invest more in its people?
Absolutely, and stop playing around as if you are, when look how many people are homeless. Look how many veterans that you see on a routine leave. I drive through cities, man. I drive through cities for work, and I see a lot of homeless people everywhere. I see tents lined up, and it gets worse and worse as the years pass on. And it didn't start with Biden. It didn't start with Trump. It started decades and decades and decades ago. It's been a slow, ongoing process of spend. Let's not take care of our people. Send all the work overseas for dirt cheap so we can get richer and continue to destroy our own economy and our own. It's like if I was to ask you, all right, would you take care of, if you had only enough to feed one family, would you feed your family or would you feed someone else's family? Of course you would feed your family first. You would feel bad because you couldn't feed the other family, because a person who has a good heart will always feel bad when they can't do for those in need, but you wouldn't put them over your family. It doesn't make sense. We're putting every other place in the world above ourselves and above our own people, and we're all suffering except for the people at the top.
All right. Well said. So now we'll go to MD, the political prophet amongst men. What's going on, MD?
Peace. What's going on? What's happening? I'm assuming we're talking about the State of the Union address, correct?
Yes, sir.
I just got here. My bad.
No problem. So, did you get to see it, and what were your thoughts, if you did, on Biden's address?
Oh yeah, I saw it. Hell, I watched it twice. I'll say this. This is the first time in a very long time when dealing with the opposition where I felt like Biden pretty much won the conversation. He stressed several policies that are being hindered based on, if you want to say Trump directly or indirectly through Congress, however you want to say it, really don't matter at this point, where he directly addressed it. He won me over once he started talking about the border policy. Once he went into that, I was like, oh yeah, it's a wrap. And for the opposite side of the aisle to start booing and hissing about it, but yeah, I have yet. Now maybe y'all more astute than I am. I don't know, but I have yet to hear the specific reasoning behind this being a quote unquote bad bill to the Republican Party. Have y'all heard it? Because I ain't heard it.
I haven't heard a word.
I've heard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I
So
haven't heard anything either.
basically, he pulled your card and told you verbatim and gave specifications on what the bill was, what it was supposed to do, and how it was going to help the American people. And I haven't even in the rebuttal. I know we're gonna get to the rebuttal later.
Oh yes, we
But
will.
even in the rebuttal, I didn't hear a thing of how this was a hindrance at all. So it just goes to show you that the Republican Party is now under authoritarian rule. Now for the rest of the speech in itself, he said some good points, especially when he started talking about, and which I agree with, Van Cat. Don't try to get me in the aha moment. I do agree with when he was talking about the fair tax policies that he wants to implement through Congress, because he can't do it himself. I'll talk about that later on as well. Through the fair tax laws with taxing the wealthy. 100% agree with him. There's no reason. Well, let me say there's not a reason, because there is a reason. It's to gain favor and to make sure you maintain the status quo of the lobbyist system and special interests. But that's a whole nother story. But there's no reason why the top 1% is paying less and less taxes every year, especially under Republican-led policies. It's insane to me. So I do agree with him on that. I don't agree with him on the assault ban. You can kill that. I ain't trying to hear that. To me, he pulled the Republican Party's card, and I think that was an important step for Biden to take in order to show who's who, and maybe it's a strategy to get the Republican Party in a Spider-Man meme scenario where everybody's pointing at each other like who's who, like who's the real Republican. I think that's ultimately what's going to happen. Like he said in the State of the Union, he said, when everybody started booing and hissing, he said, as far as he knew, it was a bipartisan bill that mainly the Republicans came up with, the ones that got sense at the end of the day. You know what I mean? But to me, that was the main. That's what I got the most out of it, because, like I said, it pulled the Republicans' card. A lot of the other stuff, as far as like the Ukraine funding, again, it's funny to me how we talk about why are we doing this stuff overseas when I continue to harp on the fact, show me how the defense budget grows literally every year, and yet it don't affect your taxes. Why is that? Nobody can answer this question. Nobody. Mr. Dunbar, I ask you. You say, why are we spending this money versus not doing something for the people that's here? I would pose the question: show me the money. If you could show me the money, then you got a valid point. But I almost can guarantee you that you can't, because it's coming from the Federal Reserve through bond system. That's where it's coming from, and or coming through giving equipment and then getting a return from the Federal Reserve. That's how it works. That's why it's able to increase every year, and your taxes don't. So that's me beating a dead horse. At the end of the day, I've went through this in detail already. The Ukraine funding has nothing to do with you and me at home. It just don't. It's got everything to do with upholding a certain moniker as what the United States is, that to the rest of the world at least, as being world police. You know what I mean? And that was something that. Go ahead. I was just gonna say that was something that at one point in time the conservatives held dear. But go ahead.
No, I just wanted to just ask or add. So like that money that you're saying that's just there, it's still money that could be focused or concentrated in a different area. Yes,
100%. I agree with that. Yeah, 100%. As a matter of fact, I've advocated using that same system for reparations. So yeah,
all day, yeah. Oh yeah.
So yeah, I 100% agree with you on that. My only issue is when people give the falsehood that that's taxpayer money. It's not. That's all I was saying. Right.
I get what you're saying there. Yeah.
So I tend to disagree, and this is where I disagree with that, because it doesn't come in the form of quote unquote taxes. Why is there so much inflation and everything in that sense? And why is that happening? It's due to the overspending. So this is how they get you without calling it taxes. They get you by increasing the cost of living, increasing the cost of goods to simply live, the bare necessities. That's why everything has gone up 20%. Now, you haven't personally seen it in your taxes, but this is another way of taxation. It is just it's presented in a different way. This is what I'm saying. This is how they're slick. They say they don't raise taxes, but yet the cost of living is 20%. And why is there more poverty than there was prior? Because these things, what happens is the Federal Reserve lends us money. So the Federal Reserve, and as soon as they lend the United States the money, instantly there is interest on it. So the national debt continues to grow, and we do foot that bill. So all the money we keep borrowing from the Fed, they just keep printing it, and we just keep buying, and inflation keeps growing, and then we get to hyperinflation, which will come. This is nothing. It's going to get much worse. It's not going to improve. Mark my words. The poverty rate is going to skyrocket, because this country, I'll never forget, I had a history teacher who told me when I was in middle school, she said, the problem with this country is we spend instead of producing like we used to produce. That's why we were efficient, because that's why in the 50s there wasn't this poverty, because we were producing more. We are not producing, we are consuming. And when you consume more than you can produce, therefore you make yourself broke. And that's exactly what's happening. It's exactly what's happening.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything you said, but based on what you're saying, it sounds like Biden your guy, because he talked about all of that in the State of the Union address.
What I'm saying is it's costing us money, and he wants to send more over to do the same exact thing. That's what I'm saying. All this money that went to Ukraine, all this money that went to Israel, all this money is being, that's why everything is skyrocketing, is because we are still footing the bill, just in a different way.
Now that's from the private sector, and I agree with that. But check this out. Hey, Vancat, what did Biden say that the inflation rate was right now? Did he say 4%?
Yeah, it dropped down from 9 to all the way to 4, almost 3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
that's so, what they say, but that's not the reality of it. That's what they listen, I'm telling you. I want you to check out a guy. I want you guys to check out this guy called Gerald Celente. Check him out. I'm telling you. All that stuff, you're going to see hyperinflation. This is the reason why. If you look at the cost of living, right? Why is there more poverty?
No, well, Jeremy, I do get what I get a lot of what you're saying there, and it's real what you're saying. But some of the reasons why people are not feeling like the relief, because how does the inflation rate go from 9% down to damn near 3%, but people are having less money and they're feeling more pushed? Well, a part of that is because a lot of the goods in really the goods more so than the services, but a lot of the goods have like with the restaurants and in particular the grocery stores, they're just charging more, and they're using inflation as the excuse of the higher price.
And not
This is a tactic they've been using. Go ahead, Ricardo. I'm sorry.
Not only that, to add to Venkat's point, there's items that are in the supermarket as well, and then telling the consumer that, hey, it's the same product that used to be bigger, but we shrunk. It still has the same
right.
And you're like,
Shrinkflation. Yeah, Biden talked about that too.
But
Keep going, Ricardo.
Yeah, but I'm like, in the end, to summarize, to say all of this, we're in a capitalist country. Whether or not you like it or not, I don't really love everything that is for the whole aspect of the capitalism. But with that being stated, we can't complain because this is by far the richest country on earth. So you got to pick your poison here. At some point, do you then say, do you want the capitalism to be what it is, or do you want what's the other one that we have where the Republicans always harp on? They don't want
socialism.
The socialism, right? Because lo and behold, it's going to turn into Venezuela. Money's going to go drain, and we're going to have this, that, and it's like you got to pick your poisons. Either you're half and half capitalism and what you call it,
socialism,
or socialism, or then you're gonna get just all socialism, and then we'll complain that, hey, we're not capitalist enough. But it's
yeah. I mean, we've always been a mixed economy. Yeah, go ahead.
But like I said, even though I complain a lot, I do prefer the mixed economy of it. The problem that I have is that you have the conglomerates and you have the politicians in bed. Just like, yesterday we just found out just to sidebar that there was this guy that was a part of Boeing that literally they claim, quote unquote, committed suicide. Just so happens to be a whistleblower who was letting everybody know, hey, with all the stuff that's going on with Boeing, which should be the prime American pride and joy of aviation, is literally cutting corners, doing a whole bunch of stuff. And this is why you have all these effects that are going on in terms of the aircraft manufacturing. So how all of a sudden it just ironically he just ends up dead, and they claim to say at somewhere in like the vicinity of a hotel or a motel somewhere. This just screams in the 70s, 80s when you used to kill people because they said something. Like, this is the kind of nonsense that I'm talking about. When are we gonna then call out the nonsense that is the being in bed with the politicians and the conglomerate?
Sounds a little Putinish.
So,
right.
So
right.
That's the kind of thing that, this is where we expect people to then say, hey, that's the issue here. But everybody's like, no, we want so-and-so, and we're going to turn a blind eye. No, you call out what it is. It's them being in bed with each other. They need to separate. Just like you have separation of state when it comes to religion, you need to have the same thing when it comes to conglomerates like the Apples, the major corporations that actually have now surpassed the politicians as powerful. How the hell are they that powerful that they're able to dictate who does what or says what or does anything?
Right, exactly.
This is not new, though. This is very
Ricardo,
old.
you sound like a free market capitalist to me.
This goes back to Rockefeller, the original Rockefeller. This goes back to the original Rockefeller, the oil tycoon. What did he do with the medical? If you do your research, what did he do with the medical? Right. What he did was, before they had what was called homeopath, right? And this was all herbal. No, it was cheap. It was effective. There was no side effects. So what Rockefeller did was he took his money, his financial backing from his oil, and he pushed up allopathies because he said, quote unquote, sick people make money. So now he decided to use allopathy, which is the stuff that we see today, which is all of the medicines that we see today that have all these vast side effects, and they cause more problems than they do good. When if you took the natural remedies, you wouldn't have these problems and you wouldn't have these side effects because it's big business. So Rockefeller, the oil tycoon, was the very first one to do it in the early 1900s. So this has been going on for a very long time. And he was a start, just like corporations were illegal in the United States until Rockefeller greased them and said no, because you're only allowed a certain amount of time to have that open in that area until you had to prove that you were needed again. Corporations were illegal.
But then doesn't that prove my point? That didn't we end up seeing Rockefeller, the family end up being in politics anyway, so they still end up being in bed because
Correct. No, and I agree, and that's the problem. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. But the problem is people don't have courage. People are too afraid. You have a vast majority that are afraid to speak the truth because they don't want to lose. They're in fear of losing what they have. If you really went out and you full-fledged did it, how many people would really stand up behind you? I can bet you the majority would say, no, I'm not doing that. Because they're afraid of what will happen to them. People are afraid to be called a name. People are cowards. So that's why you will never see it.
That's the key word, cowards.
They're cowards, and they won't speak up for what is right and call wrong for what it is, like you just perfectly said, Ricardo. And that is the problem. There's no courage.
But what about so let's say, let me play a devil's advocate. What about the people that do speak up and then their image, their image and their personality and all of that get thrown into the wayside, meaning like they come up with ways to like destroy the person.
Yeah, they run through the mud.
So it's like a poison at the end of the day, because I could still fight and I could say, hey, I'm so and so and I'm so and so, but then somebody out of nowhere will come up and say, hey, that's crazy Ricardo over there saying whatever, he's a conspiracy and he's a so and so. And all of that. So is it the majority rules at the end of the day? So is it that the majority needs to be people that are sane, competent, knowledgeable and informative and not for the alternative facts nonsense? Or is it just the people that are just popular in general that would then be able to control the masses? Because then that's where you'll come into a question that's always been the issue. It's either you're popular or you're just crazy, or you just like have power because you have money and that's all that matters. And that's again, you're always going to be in bed in politics if you have power, if you have money, or you just straight up, I guess, have an affiliation somewhere, meaning like so my father went to school in 1900, so my family continues to be a part of it if I donate money, or if I show up somewhere and say, hey, my name is whatever Hearst or Rockefeller or all those powerful American people that took part in everything that made this country great and blah blah blah. So it's like, how does the regular Joe Schmo down the road run for anything and expect to win when you have powerful people that just have control because they have money or influence? That in a way, I'm kind of glad technology kind of pushed certain people to the limelight, but it also pushed the nonsensical idiot people that have all these things to say but are saying nothing at all. It's just gibberish.
Here's what you do, right? So a great example was Martin Luther King. What did he do when he wanted to get his point across when it came to the buses? He boycotted them, right? And then they found out that the people that were giving them the money were the people that were boycotting. You have to force them into submission by getting a lot of people to stop paying your taxes. If you had, let's just say 10 million stop paying the taxes, just in general, for 3 months, that would do enough to damage the whole system. And then they would have to come back and give you the people back what they, because let's not forget, they're supposed to represent us.
What about the FBI though? What about the FBI? They not just going to sit there.
That's what I'm saying. You have to have courage.
Found out real quick what that did to him.
You have to have courage.
Not only that, Cat. What you talking about? Stop paying taxes. In order to stop paying taxes, you got to stop working. Taxes get taken out automatically. So, I was like, what are we talking about here? See, here's the thing.
Go ahead.
We're talking about being fed up with something that's there to make profit. All things are made to make profit. I ain't got no issue with that.
Yep.
What Biden, pretty much everything you were saying, Biden addressed. The fact is not drugs are being made to maintain the sickness. If that was the case, they'll be cheaper. And you know, I'm talking about in relative terms, but they're not. People are going to other countries to get these drugs. Same drugs. People are going to other countries to buy the drugs for cheaper. The issue is not a holistic principle of looking at healing. Don't nobody give a damn about that. And I'm just keep it real. People want to take a pill and feel better, whether it's short term or long term. The issue is it's high as hell. So people are going to other places to get these same drugs for the fraction of the price. Biden talked about that. Now, this is coming from me, the ultimate capitalist. I'm just making a point in terms of what's being said versus what Biden said. Biden is looking at it from a perspective of how can both parties come out on top, the pharmaceutical companies and the American public. It's room. You know, the margin of error is big based on how much profit these pharmaceutical companies are getting versus what you're not getting. You know what I'm saying? Or what's coming out of your pocket. He explained all that. So if we're talking about what was said in the State of the Union address, whether I agree or disagree, the points were made, and they were made in vivid detail. So I commend President Biden just on that principle alone. Everything he talked about in the State of the Union address, he gave vivid detail. The opposition has done nothing for any policy they oppose. Point blank. Period. At the end of the day. But go ahead.
And this is where I say talk is cheap, because anybody can say anything. I want to see him do it. Forget talking about it. Talking is over. Save the talking for somebody who has itchy ears to hear nonsense.
Well, Joe Biden did,
and that goes
bring
to
down
both,
the cost.
though.
He brought down the cost of insulin. It's one drug, but I wish it was all of them, or at least most of them. But that's a big drug. He brought it down.
Yeah, he did that to make people to believe that he's really doing it. You bring one thing down, and then you don't do anything else.
If it's one, that's the one you want right there.
Yeah, Jeremy. Hey, you say he's doing it just for a op-ed or whatever. That don't take away from the fact that it's impacting somebody's life.
And the fact that
you know what I'm saying.
And he did it because a lot of other politicians, they don't do things. They don't do anything.
They do. Listen, they do things, but they do things to benefit themselves, or they do things. They don't do what they say they're going to do. How often or not? You tell me. What is the majority?
But that's a narrative too that's kind of wrong as well, right? Because you can be a politician, go into office, have every intention and well-being to want to do a specific agenda or do a bill, and then you get caught up in the politics of it that it's just not feasible, that it's going to pass, or it didn't pass fully the way you wanted. You know, there's a lot of things that you know you want to do, but it just wasn't done. Now then, on the flip side, there are others that do like what you say. They say it, but they had never any intentions of doing it, and we've seen that multiple times happen. But it's not just so clear cut. Oftentimes they're legitimately trying to do something. It's just that the roadblocks on the way, Mitch McConnell, stopped a lot of things from happening.
So
I agree with that part of the Senate. The Senate is a big part of it. The government is a big part of it. But this is what I'm telling you. It doesn't matter who you elect. It's going to be the same thing, because the people that are making the choices on these are the same people. It doesn't really matter who you elect. It's going to be the same.
No, that's not true at all. It's a huge ass difference. It's a huge ass difference. Heads Mike on the panel. What you got, sir? Others?
My name is Others Squared, sir. Thank you.
Oh my God, that's the latest. All right, go ahead, sir.
I'm confused. Like, I thought I told you guys what it was last time I was on the show. Listen to Mr. Dunbar is telling you my points, and he's doing a great job of it, but you guys are ignoring him. It does not matter who's there. It doesn't matter who's in. The only difference between the Dems and the Rebs, the only difference is one of them spits in your face. The other one says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to spit in your face." You go, "But you didn't spit in my face." He goes, "Give me a minute." It's the only difference. They are the exact same. There's no difference. One of them act like we're friends, but he's still gonna stab you in the back. I don't understand what you guys are seeing. And the last thing y'all were talking about, it literally explains why this free market, free capitalistic society that ND thinks exists and will exist and doesn't exist. It shows you why it can't happen. Because the second you guys were saying back then, you were like, the people need to stand up and be strong. And no, when you stand up and be strong, you get ostracized and destroyed. I keep bringing up Kaepernick. People act like he doesn't exist. There's a reason he doesn't exist, because the people didn't back him and they let Trump destroy him, and Trump did it in front of everybody's eyes. He took the NFL, he gave him a little money and a little reach around, and then they destroyed Colin Kaepernick. And then the next season, they took all his points and said, we agree with everything he said, but he still don't have a job. That's America. That is America. That's why capitalism will not work.
Hey, Mike, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, Mike.
I want to say welcome, MD, because you suspended Kevin, so I got love for you today. Let's see how long it lasts.
I got cool points with that, huh? Okay, that's cool.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, so let me ask you a question. What's your take on the State of the Union Address 2024 with Joe Biden?
I think Biden took a miniature-minded human and put him in his place, but he will mess it up in about a month or so. That's what I think about, because I don't think Biden and Trump are different. The only difference between them is Biden acts like he gives a damn and then won't do anything later. That's the only difference. Trump says he don't give a damn and then gonna do what he want to do.
So
that's the only difference.
Mike, you're saying, but all those years that Joe Biden spent in government and crafting bills and negotiating and doing
deals. You mean like the 93 crime bill?
Huh? Hey, I'm not co-signing any of that stuff.
Thank you.
I'm not co-signing that. I'm just saying. These politicians, you just got to use them for what the ultimate goal is. They're not going to be perfect. I think that you guys live in a land where you believe that the person that's going to save your day is going to be perfect, man, with no blemishes, no negatives, no nothing. And that's not really what it's about. It's politics.
No,
the mudslinging is going to go.
I live in a world where I don't think any of us are going to be saved. I think it's over. I think Rome is crumbling, and we're walking around with plaster trying to keep it up. It's over.
Save us.
It just looks good.
I can't roll with that, man.
Of course you can't. Nobody want. Hey, you know what it is? It's like people who get cancer, right? They get cancer and they go, man, I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna stick it out, and I'm gonna last. I'm gonna be different. Guess what? No, you won't. You dying.
That's not true, because there's plenty of people that
you gotta remember, he was fatalist.
Yeah, I know.
I am a fatalist.
Yeah, he basically taught what they used to call it, the 6 stages of grief, I think it's called. Mike had the last one. He had the last one. He like F it. It's over with. You know what I mean? Mike gonna go live. He gonna get a tent and live in the woods somewhere.
If the woods had fiber optics, I'd go. Fiber optics and AC, I'd go. Because bump these people. Everybody walking around, everything is great. Everything is super. No, it's not. You guys are spending money that don't exist, thinking you're having a great life. Women are walking around thinking, I got to be on the yacht today. Yay, life is great. People dying. But don't nobody care, because America is about middle management. As long as I'm not on the bottom, I don't care about the people on the bottom. That's why this country sucks. That's why it always will suck. And that's why no matter what happens, we'll stay in the place we are. The elites will stay up there, because all they got to do, give you a couple crumbs, and people will go, oh, these crumbs are delicious. That makes me better than you down there, because I got crumbs.
Mike, you're making great points on certain aspects of it. No, but
I think he ate a home run on that one, my man.
You can use those points to exploit the problem and attack it head on instead of going into submission mode. I'm sorry, my booty ain't in the air for nobody. I ain't trying to submit. I ain't trying to submit to nothing.
First of all, if there's a couple women in the world, if they wanted to mess with a gooch, I'll put my feet up. I'm just saying that because you started it, and I ain't gonna let you beat me. That's one. Get that gooch, girl. Get that gooch. Number two, I'm not in submission mode. I'm in reality. You're the one who's dreaming about this politician who you can use that's gonna, no. Let me ask you a question. If a chick is a well-known thot and gold digger, right? But she's really good at doing taxes, and she asks you on a date, you going?
Well, how good these taxes are. What's my return? What's my return?
She hasn't done your taxes yet. She just asked you out on a date.
Well, those taxes looking good to me.
But she ain't done your taxes yet. All you're doing is walking on faith like this beautiful woman is gonna do my taxes. No, she's a professional robber. She's a professional gold digger. She gonna do your taxes, see where your money is, see where she can tap it, and she gonna take it. You're thinking, oh, she's cute and she can do my taxes, but she's professional robber, bro. It don't matter what you try to do.
What if you're willing to spend the money?
Exactly.
Say it again.
So that see that's what you don't get at, Mike. You think the mindset always should be to a certain point, and it's not. What if I want to spend that money and say the hell with it? Come on with it. You know what I mean? What can I get for this?
That money? Cool, but I don't want to hear you crying about it on the show next week. When she tap your pockets, and you like, damn, I swear I had the light bill money right here, and you in the dark, don't cry about it because I don't want to hear it.
But Twin, you're not gonna be the
problem.
Twin, you're not gonna be the shoulder I need to be leaning on when I say, oh, I took all my
Hey, I ain't gonna hold you. If your birthday's close, I might send you a piece of it. But other than that, you better hit me on WhatsApp because I ain't listening to none of that. You better send it in voice so I can listen to it at my leisure because I ain't sitting on the phone listening to you. No. You knew what she was going to do.
But
he's got a point. He's got a point, man. That was a good analogy.
But
I'm eating the cookie. I can't cry about being fat and I'm eating the cookie. It don't make no sense.
But my song says, "Don't cry for me, Argentina."
But that don't make sense. Who ain't do nothing to you?
That cookie's dirty. This cookie been doing horrible things to me all day.
Trevor just he just put up. I was riding with you, Mike, but you lost me at the part.
That's why you not on After Dark, Trev. It's me and Twin. You don't even like to be called daddy. This ain't your conversation. And that's Van Cat who started it because I ain't say it.
I know.
Van Cat wants to talk putting feet up.
I'm gonna put my booty in.
Allegedly.
You putting feet up. I'm just saying. If my feet going up, it's gonna be a bad chick between. All right, my bad. Go ahead.
All right. So what we should do now is get into session. Let's do the lame duck session, and we will continue it on the other end here.
Hey, real quick, Van Cat.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Real quick, because I want to play a game.
Man.
Go ahead.
This week been a hell of a week for nominees for the lame duck. I want to play a game. Let's all guess, because like I said, we don't go through no show notes or nothing like that,
right.
So nobody knows what Van Cat picked.
I have an idea.
I want to go through, and I got an idea too. I have an idea. You know what? Just go ahead, Van Cat. Just go ahead. We'll save it for next week. But I think I already know who it is. At least I hope.
All right, here we go.
Politically playful MD. Politically playful MD is awesome.
All right, lame duck.
I'll see you on Monday, Mike.
First things first, in this lame duck session.
For the United Nations General Assembly to share the extraordinary progress we've made. In less than 2 years, my administration has accomplished more than almost any administration in the history of our country. America's so true. Didn't expect that reaction, but that's okay.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
You're trying your best, but it never feels like enough.
I started having second thoughts almost the moment I sat down on the plane.
Lights off! Off! Turn them off. They're too bright. Turn them off. Turn them off. Let's go. Ready?
We go back a long way. She was 12, I was 30, but anyway.
So I changed my return flight and flew back on the first available flight I could take.
I'm sick and tired of smart guys. I'm sick and tired of ordinary people being fleeced. I'm tired of being quiet. I'm sick and tired. I'm just sick and tired. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
With great power comes great responsibility.
These lights are so bright in my eyes that I can't see too many people out there. But I can only see the black ones. I can't see any white ones. You see? That's how far I've come. That's how far I've come. That's a long way, isn't it? These lights. You want to see a bird graveyard? You just go. Take a look. A bird graveyard? Go under a windmill someday. You'll see more birds than you've ever seen ever in your life.
The Republicans had an opportunity here to put their best foot forward and just sound normal. That's it. Don't shout, say normal things, and speak to regular Americans about what's real. And they blew it, as they do almost all the time in these State of the Union responses. They put up rising star in the Republican Party, Katie Britt, who is a senator from the state of Alabama and a Republican, as I said. And I don't know what the F I saw. I agree with the people saying she looked like she was auditioning for a show on Lifetime. The drama, the fake affectation, the over-the-top portrayal of emotions I did not believe she was feeling at all. Her inauthenticity, it was totally cringe, as the kids would say. Sorry, this is how I saw it. You tell me whether you disagree. Here are some high/lowlights.
I never could have imagined what my story would entail. To think about what the American dream can do across just one generation, in just one lifetime. It's truly breathtaking. But right now, the American dream has turned into a nightmare. Our country can do better. And you don't have to look any further than the crisis at our southern border to see it. President Biden inherited the most secure border of all time. He invited it with 94 executive actions in his first 100 days. I traveled to the Del Rio sector of Texas. That's where I spoke to a woman who shared her story with me. She had been sex trafficked by the cartels starting at the age of 12.
That was Republican Senator Katie Britt of Alabama in her rebuttal address to President Biden's State of the Union, linking a graphic account of a young woman's sex trafficking to Biden's immigration policies.
And saying she couldn't believe that this happened in the United States of America.
But the abuse actually happened during President George W. Bush's administration nearly 20 years ago, and not in America, in Mexico. She was asked about that yesterday on Fox News.
Did you mean to give the impression that this horrible story happened on President Biden's watch?
No, Shannon, look, I very specifically said this is what President Biden did during his first 100 days. Minutes after coming into office, he stopped all deportations. He halted construction of the border wall.
But to be clear, the story that you relayed is not something that's happened under the Biden administration, that particular person.
Well, I very clearly said I spoke to a woman who told me about when she was trafficked when she was 12.
Charlie, there's nothing clear about it. The entire, and I don't, again,
I don't know how you walk that back.
Listen, stuff happens in politics. Bad speeches are made, and it's always better to go out and say, man, I blew that one. And people will forgive you for it, and they'll even like you better for it, for saying, wow, was I off on that, and I'm so sorry. And by the way, I told this story, and I conflated some facts and issues and dates, and I'm really sorry for that. But I hope you understand my bigger point is that the Biden administration's policies from day one have been disastrous. Like, she could have said that. But I don't know who's advising her, but to double down after that performance, the wrong thing to do. Own it like Biden is owning his age.
Yes, but in MAGA world, you can never apologize, right?
That's correct.
Being a Republican these days is never having to say you're sorry. And that was not just misleading. I mean, that was a purposeful lie. And I think that we're seeing this again and again.
Senator Katie Britt, thank you for your time this morning.
I appreciate you having me on, Shannon. Thank you.
Yeah, the senator was on Fox News Sunday this morning to talk about the criticism that she's received following her response to President Biden's State of the Union address on Wednesday.
And that's why I invited you into our home tonight.
One of the common topics that came out of Katie's response on social media was, how would SNL deal with it come Saturday? And we only had to wait 2 minutes into the show last night to find out how.
And now I'm going to get weirdly seductive for no apparent reason.
Right now, the American dream has turned into a nightmare.
As I was saying, the American dream has turned into a nightmare.
Yeah, two-time Oscar nominee and member of the SNL Five-Timer Club, Scarlett Johansson, popped in to play the role.
My name is Katie Britt, and I have the honor of...
I love that Scarlett even played up that weird moment where Katie almost seemed to burst into laughter when she was acknowledging that she's a senator in Alabama.
And I have the honor of serving the people of the great state of Alabama.
But tonight, I'll be auditioning for the part of Scary Mom. I've invited you into this strange, empty kitchen.
And that is exactly why I was sitting at a kitchen table.
Because Republicans wanted me to appeal to women voters, and women love kitchen.
Yeah, Scarlett nailed it, and she's been trending ever since. She's still trending at 6 p.m. Sunday.
I'm not performing. I'm not.
Now, granted, Fox News Sunday host Shannon Bream didn't specifically ask Katie about the SNL parody, but she did ask Katie about some of the elements that SNL made fun of.
Like any mom, I'm going to do a pivot out of nowhere into a shockingly violent story about sex trafficking.
I spoke to a woman who shared her story with me. She had been sex trafficked by the cartels starting at the age of 12.
Nobody is questioning that the story happened, that she is actually who she is, says she is, and that this happened. The question is about the timing and the implication of you telling the story.
Rest assured, every detail about it is real, except the year, where it took place, and who was president when it happened.
Did you mean to give the impression that this horrible story happened on President Biden's watch?
No, Shannon, look, I very specifically said...
Now, Katie very specifically did not answer the question for the next 2 minutes, so I'm going to skip over that part and get to the part where Shannon repeats her question.
Well, I very clearly said I spoke to a woman who told me about when she was trafficked when she was 12.
So that's about as close to the admission from Katie that we're going to get. That, yeah, the crimes that she spoke of that were awful, awful crimes actually took place 20 years ago when George W. Bush was president. And on top of that, they weren't crimes committed in America. They were crimes committed in Mexico, in another country, 20 years ago.
Republicans care about kitchen table issues. We care about faith, family. We care about freedom.
And by the way, if these crimes were committed in America in the last 2 years, and heaven forbid the woman was impregnated by one of her rapists, Republicans took away the woman's freedom to choose whether or not she had an abortion or not.
You can't make this stuff up.
Emma played an adult woman with the brain of a child, like the lady who gave the rebuttal to the State of the Union on Thursday night.
What my story would entail. To think about what the American dream can do across just one generation, in just one lifetime. It's truly breathtaking. But right now, the American dream has turned into a nightmare.
I am a United States Senator coming to you from my kitchen, where women really belong. I've got to talk to you about Joe Biden. That speech that we just saw was such a performance. And I don't know about you, but I am sick of performances by politicians because I am just like you. And that's why I'm at my kitchen table. This is where I do my most important and favoritist job in the world. Being a mom to my daughter biblically and my son Bridgerton. The other day, I took my kids to the playground because I'm a really good mom. And there was a rogue chihuahua that came up and started barking at my kids and terrified them. And I'm pretty sure that this chihuahua wasn't illegal because of Joe Biden's America. I am so worried sick that my daughter is going to grow up one day and have the right to choose. Do you really want to live in a world where our kids have to learn that the Civil War was about slavery? It's just not white. I mean, it's not right. Ask yourself, are you better off today than you were 3 years ago in the middle of a global pandemic where thousands of our loved ones were dying every day? Huh? Is my crust visible?
All right. All right. There she goes. There she goes. Put the spotlight on Katie Britt. The latest lame duck, number 29. The trash bag human of the week. So here we go. We'll start off with we got to start off with Mike. We'll start off with Mike.
Bro, all I need to know is when are we gonna get the Maroney t-shirts? I want the t-shirts with this chick's face looking just like that, so I can rock it and make sure I spill ketchup and mustard on it because we was in the kitchen. All I know is Van Cat almost voted for her when she said women belong in the kitchen. When she was in the kitchen, Van Cat was like, "Can you take EO Sky there too?" Oh my gosh. Yo, this is the, and you know what's my biggest issue with this? This is who the Republicans thought was the best person to give the response to the address. That politics isn't politics anymore, gentlemen. This isn't politics. This is a really bad episode of Simon Cowell Presents. That's what we're watching. We're just watching people give their horrible, worst performances for their base and hoping it sticks. This isn't even politics. There's the only person that talks about the issues is MD. That's it. We are in the, how are you not all fatalists with me? How did you watch this and not go, damn, Mike is right. This country's crumbling. That's the best person a whole party put together and said, this is the one that's going to represent us. Put her at a kitchen table. And the sad part, it's going to work. The MAGA people they could barely hold it in. Oh, God, you got to turn it off. I'm about to bust. The MAGA people loved it. They loved every second of it. And this is why I'm disgusted with both parties. They both trash. It should be my dog, Bernie, running the country with some help from somebody who could pick a side instead of these centrists and these right-wingers. We don't have a left-wing party. We don't have a progressive party. And this is what we're going to get. We're going to get centrists who are idiots and MAGA who are morons. Just come on, y'all. Come on my team. Rome is crumbling. Rome is crumbling. That's all I got to say, Van Cat. I'm glad Van Cat's happy. Keep him in the kitchen, Van Cat. Keep him in the kitchen.
All right. Thank you, Mike. So now we're going to go to Ricardo. Ricardo, what you got?
Lord, and yeah, I gotta say, Twin is right. I think being a centrist now doesn't even work in the best interest of this country anymore. I think it's more along the lines of we need to actually like go one way or the next. This whole being in the middle ground just doesn't work in politics anymore. It just seems like it's a crumbling roadblock of nonsense going round and round in a spinning wheel spoke of foolishness. Like it's either we're going to just pick one side and go that way or go the other. But it's just the centrist thing has not been working since Obama in 2008 decided to do it. And then it's just been downhill since there. But I digress. This Katie girl, whatever she is, I don't even know how to begin. How the hell are you going to blame President Biden for sex trafficking that happened in Mexico, by the way? This wasn't even in this country that she's referring to the victim as. This the whole incident happened in Mexico during Bush administration, Bush Jr.'s administration. What and this whole crying bit speech that sounds like she's crying but speaking at the same time was beyond cringe, with the hand gestures and her being in the kitchen and this whole Stepford wife and it's like, what is going on here? Like, really, Republicans, I expected better from this side altogether. This is now the 5th or 6th week in a row that I've seen the Republican Party literally failed me by what I thought they should be doing. How did we end up here? Like, really, this is what you're doing? If this is the case, Republicans, just lie down and take it, because this is just not it for me. This is not going to work. This is not going to work at all. I don't know what was up with this chick, because I thought it was going to be, correct me if I'm wrong, MD, I might be wrong, but I was expecting somebody else, not her. How did she end up being the main contributor of the rebuttal? You usually get someone that's more, and don't come after me, because I'm sure there's going to be people out there that say, how dare you say so-and-so, and it's not me. This is the Republican Party that picked this woman, and we all know why they picked her, because they feel that everything that would have appeased to the woman vote when they got rid of Roe versus Wade, and then they did this whole thing of, the red wave was going to come in and we're going to take over it. Not a damn thing happened, because once you basically pissed off the women voters, you pretty much went downhill from there. So they thought, we're just going to just put a random, nice, pretty chick out there who was brunette, who's going to, because lo and behold, if they would have picked a blonde, that would have been a hella funnier to me. But they picked a brunette chick that is very pretty and young, and she's going to be the staple of the Republican Party to do a rebuttal against an old man that's supposed to be senile and doesn't remember stuff. This is not it, Republicans. Conservatives, come on, man. This is what y'all are doing? Get it together, bro. This is not it. This is just sad, beyond depressing sad. And this is coming from me, who is well, I can't claim MD's side, because MD said, what did the political thing say I was? I was part between, whatchamacallit, that whole survey thing that we did. So I can't even say that I'm whatchamacallit.
You were towing the line. You were like right in the middle.
So I'm like kind of in the middle, but not. But this is not it, man. Come on. This is just cringy, desperate, running out of ideas, Republicans. Like, this is not it. But yeah, hey, like I said, from the weeks prior, I got my popcorn ready. I just need a good Crown Royal, cold chilled, and I'm just gonna ride this or watch this through until election night, because this is just hilarious. I'm now waiting to see what the Democrats are gonna do next, because this is beyond soap opera, political soap opera. This is just funny.
All right, thank you, Ricardo. All right, so we'll get MD's opinion about number 29, lame duck of the week.
Yeah, man. Yeah, so yeah, I predicted correctly. This should have been it. No, 100%, no doubt. Let me say this about Katie Brick. Katie Brick is not. She's not a dunce. She's a highly ranking subcommittee member of the Homeland Security Board. She got credentials. I ain't gonna take that away from her. So it was. Well, I ain't gonna say it was. It should have been a good pick based on her stance when it comes to Homeland Security and the border deal and all that. But here's the thing. See, I know about Katie Britt when she came in. She came in last year, beginning of last year. As soon as she got her Senate seat, she introduced a bill called the Asylum Abuse Reduction Act. Basically, making it to where they can have more stringent processes of not being in the contention of being an asylum seeker, but in a position to be an asylum seeker, which I agree with. As a matter of fact, part of the language that was used in the bill that she introduced was used in the appropriations package that was put together that now the House Republicans don't want to vote on. She also voted down, even though the majority passed it in the Senate, she also voted down that very same bill that got language as a part of a bill that she introduced. This ain't got nothing to do with her credentials or her knowledge of stuff. The little act she put on, she's MAGA. That's what it comes down to. And they want to introduce certain people to the viewing public in terms of getting ready to put together some type of council in terms of what MAGA is legislatively. She came out looking like a dumbass. Let's just keep it a buck. And it's sad because the fact that a lot of the things that she's introduced in legislation, whether it passed or whether it didn't, was implemented in something that she then turned around and voted no on based on cult of personality. That's why she got the pick to do the rebuttal. It ain't got it's no other reason. So she deserves everything that she get right now. And she should be shamed to the depths of hell based on that debacle that was that State of the Union address rebuttal. It is what it is. Like it's getting to the point where y'all got me up here defending Joe Biden. That's basically what I did in the last segment. I basically defended the stuff that he said based on the stupidity of MAGA because they have no rebuttal for any policy that Biden has put together. They just don't. She said she was talking about Biden stopped the construction of the wall. No, he didn't. Like what are we talking about? He didn't stop that at all. So again, man, I don't know where I stand in terms of how I look at a lot of these legislators that come out this MAGA cult, especially from a personal point of view in terms of how I decide to vote. Like it's dwindling, folks. It's dwindling to a point where I'm just looking at these people as dumbasses. You had ample opportunity to pass something that was going to rectify the very situation that you're talking about now, and you chose not to do it. Why should I even listen to you? But again, I digress, man.
So, MD, some of the extremist Republicans that you know, do you think they are at least finding these issues that we're seeing here?
No, because they dumb as hell too. That's what I'm telling you. Let me bring this up too. The Megyn Kelly situation. Megyn Kelly bashed the lady or whatever, all that's well and good. Trump then turned around because of his hatred for Megyn Kelly. They got a long-lasting hatred from way back in the 2016 election. When she asked him about the whole woman stuff, calling them the fat pigs and slobs and all that. Then Trump turns around and now he back on Megyn Kelly behind now. Just for the fact that that she did what she did about this rebuttal. I mean, it was stupid. But because Trump needs to garner a certain position in terms of the people that's surrounding him, he has to defend these people at all costs. At all costs.
Oh boy. All right. Well, thank you for that one, MD. And now we'll go to Jeremy Dunbar. Jeremy, what's your impression of Katie Britt?
Hold on, I'm sorry, Jeremy. I just want to say that MD is now a 1990 Black American voting. He don't like Democrats. He don't like Democrats, but he sees what's on the other side, and he is forced to vote for Biden. Now you know how Black people feel, MD. All right, go ahead, Jeremy.
Nah, I didn't say all that. I just said I defeated man. I ain't say I was voting for him.
All right. Where do you begin? Oh my. That was probably one of the most embarrassing performances I've ever seen. I can act better than that. And that woman ought to be ashamed of herself. And I don't know if you know, the sad part is people believe this stuff. People back it. That's the scary part. Our society is becoming dumber and dumber by the second. I don't know if any of you have seen Idiocracy, but we're about to live it. because that's what the vast majority is. Bunch of morons that want to be entertained. Bunch of morons that want to be entertained versus educated and know how they're getting bent over and for how much. Oh my. And I would like to compliment Mr. Ricardo on admitting that they are employing different, they're trying to go for different theatrics and ways to pull in voters, which is exactly what the Democrats are doing. That's exactly what I said. They're both doing it. They're peas in the pod. They're all the same. Birds of a feather flock together. They present division, but they are not divisive. Behind closed doors, they're sitting there sipping their champagne, smoking their Cuban cigars in their mansions, laughing at the rest of us because we're all a bunch of idiots and believe them. So continue voting for morons, continue taking the crap that they feed you and just swallow it, enjoy it, be thankful for it, because that's what's coming. That's what we continuously get. You are fed an illusion with all of the people they bring up. They are pawns, and the kings are behind them that you don't even know their faces. I don't know if you know Kissinger and all of these other Gates and Schwab and a whole lot of these people that are sitting there pulling the strings. The Federal Reserve is laughing as it keeps putting people into modern day slavery, because that's what we're living. We are accepting the crap we get and accepting it with a big giant smile on our face because we're all a bunch of idiots and take it, right? And there's no courage left in this country. There's no courage left in society. When you call right and wrong, this is disgusting. This is absolutely disgusting. You guys keep enjoying the false hope that you get from these people, because it's going to continue and it's going to get worse. And you're going to be having more of these conversations each and every week. And you're going to be like, wow, I should listen to that guy, Jeremy. He was onto something. Because no matter who you elect, it's going to be the same. It's going to be the same. You can't avoid it. They're putting who they want. They're putting a face that's comfort, that gives you a nice warm comfort, and they give them the right words because they've been doing this for hundreds of years. All right, here's a fun little fact. If you've ever known the history of Rome, what happened when it was going downhill? What did they do? They brought the Colosseum. They brought spectacle, right? What do you see today? What do you call all of these sports and athletes that are high esteemed, and they blind you and confuse you to keep you in the dark while they push laws to slowly erode everything you have and your rights and your freedoms every single day, little by little, step by step, day by day, and everybody just sits there and says, yay, murder, kill, let's keep watching it. We love this stuff. Oh, I don't care. As long as I have my 3 hots in a cot, I'm good. You know, this is ridiculous.
Do you have your 3 hots in the cot?
I got my 3. Yeah, we all got our 3 hots in the cot, but should we have
okay?
More
What's stopping you from not getting your 3 hots in the cot? Because I'm trying to figure it out, because you keep going back to the same talking point. Because where's your tent at? Where's your tent at? And where can I locate you in these woods? That's what I want to know.
These woods. Listen, when I get to the woods, you know what I'll do? Guess what I'll do for you? I'll tell you, but you got to keep it secret. And you can come on over, and we can actually really do like brotherly stuff versus all this nonsense that you see on the screen that's going on with these politics. These politicians are getting paid. Why are we paying a lifetime salary to a president of $500,000 for each one? Why are we paying politicians hundreds of thousands of dollars for life when they're not in office? Where is your hundreds of thousands of dollars for all the hard work that you've done? This is the problem.
I assume that I get it when I run for office. Let me ask you a question. When I go to these woods with you, how much you gonna pay me?
Listen, I ain't gonna pay you nothing, because we both gonna be. There ain't gonna be no paying.
So what are we talking about here? See,
listen.
This is what you don't wanna admit. You don't want to admit that you gotta survive in what is already implemented, despite whether you agree with it or not. And what you don't want to admit is of what your book says is if you don't work, you don't eat. Despite what the situation may be in and the environment that you may currently be in. So at the end of the day, policy is what rules the day. And if you don't want to participate in it, that's cool. Again, just give me your location of what wooded area that you're gonna be residing in, and I'll make sure you're okay from time to time. Other than that, policy rules the day.
Hey, first off, stop yelling at my bro. That's one. Leave the homie alone. Number two, Jay, if you would yell a little bit more, be a little more aggressive, have 3 or 4 good jokes, and then hate MD, I would never have to
That'll
show
be a
back up.
clone of you, Mike. That'll be a clone.
I would never need to show up. I could just watch and be a fan. This would be amazing. And number 3, don't let him lie to you. If you move to the woods, get us about 2 more election cycles, he gonna be right there next to you talking about, hey, where do I set up my windmill?
We can sing Kumbaya together. How about that by the fire?
Exactly. MD gonna be in the woods soon. Don't listen to him. He's trying to hold on to this. He the only person talking about policy. They don't bring up policy for nothing. All they bring up is grabbing girls in the cuckoo and hating on Megyn Kelly. That's all that side bringing up. And you know what Biden bringing up? All Biden bringing up is there's smart kids and black kids, and man, all of them need to shut the hell up. All of them. MD Captain, he gonna be in the woods right along with us. He gonna be on tent number 3.
He's gonna be shaking hands.
Save a hammock for me, Mike.
Looking and jiving, then.
Save a hammock for me. That's all I'm gonna say. I'll be there in a minute. Just save a hammock.
So we're gonna go to the next
segment. The Glock 17 underneath it.
We're gonna go to the next segment. We're gonna go to the next segment. This segment is gonna focus on like the fundraising and the other politics of Biden and the Democrats and the Republicans and whatnot. So let's go to this segment here, and we'll be right back.
Heading into the 2024 election, Trump's campaign, they're facing a massive cash crunch, and some people are worried, well, they should be, that he's spending way too much of his political money on legal bills.
Yeah, now they can't pay his civil liabilities, can they? No, right? There's even concern he may not be able to afford to hold his signature rallies. Take a look at how MSNBC's Vaughn Hilliard explained the situation.
Not only are they looking at a deficit in finances compared to Biden, but also there's the reality here at play that $80 billion have already gone towards legal-related expenses over the last 2 years from Trump-affiliated super PACs. So they're already starting into a deficit. Add on to the reality here that the RNC is having to figure out how to best fund also Senate and down-ballot races. There are serious question marks for the Trump team and how they're going to be able to even compete. Here's also a reality at play. It takes manpower. Money can also help towards, this is my big shtick here, money can help towards actually putting folks on the ground in these states. In the areas where they are going to rely on to pull off victories are in rural parts of Georgia, rural parts of Wisconsin, rural parts of Michigan, rural parts of Arizona. And to get folks that normally don't vote, you got to go and tell them, we need you to come vote. And so Bullhead City, Arizona, if you don't have the money to finance some actual staff out in those areas, it makes it a lot more harder. And you can go and have a rally in those places, but those rallies cost $400,000. I mean, this is where don't expect to see Donald Trump to be parading around the country because those events cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to put on. They're in a predicament now, whether they'd like to admit it or not.
You know, Willie, it's not like Nikki Haley and all of us and anybody that has cared for a healthy Republican Party hasn't been warning about this for years, that if you elect Donald Trump, you elect a guy who's not fit to be president, first of all, but secondly, is going to put the Republican Party in a terrible, terrible position. He has looted his campaign funds to pay for legal bills, and now he's firing people inside the RNC and putting family members in there to pay even more of his legal bills. And he's doing this as he's starting to go into a general election. As Jonathan O'Meara said, you know, it's 50-50. I personally don't think it's 50-50, but you look at the polls right now, it's about 50-50. And Republicans have selected a candidate who's gutted his campaign cash. By the way, this has a huge impact on people running for the Senate, people running for the House. Republicans who need help from the RNC. That's just not going to happen now. And because he's gutting people in there who were competent, most likely, they're now going to have a bunch of cult members going in, personality cult members going in there, and the incompetence will grow by the day.
But let's start with the overall numbers for the campaign. So I'm going to compare Trump and Biden. Trump actually announced back in November of 2022, one of the early I can certainly remember. So he got off to a pretty good start in his fundraising. And this is the Democratic National Committee. Biden was not yet a candidate. And then over the summer of last year, you can see what happened here, which is that Trump continued to raise money at a pretty good pace. And I'm going to show you why he was able to do that. But Biden took off. He announced and immediately came out of the gates with really strong fundraising totals. And then in the fourth quarter, you can see what happened. Trump dropped off. Biden took off. And so in total, Biden has substantially outraised Trump in this cycle. And in fact, Biden has also substantially outraised what Obama raised for his reelection in 2012, while Trump raised substantially less for his reelection than he raised last time. So how did Trump raise this money? Well, indictments had something to do with it. So you can see what happened. I think you've seen some of this before, that every time Trump got indicted, his fundraising soared. His biggest single day was after Georgia, when he raised $4.2 million. And of his total fundraising, $64 million, it was general fundraising, but $40 million of it was really tied directly to the indictments. And look, I can just say about all this, as it happens, my wife and I had a fundraiser for Biden last night, and the enthusiasm for him is really strong. Obviously, a lot of it is anti-Trump, but it's also a good amount of it is pro-Joe Biden. He's also spending a lot on his legal fees from his fundraising. Last year, he took $55 million of money that his donors gave him and used it on his legal fees. May well have been all of his legal costs for what we know. In the second half of the year, he took $29 million. Most of it came from, this is MAGA Inc. This is his PAC for super biggest donors. So people like Linda McMahon from WWE are in here. I don't know whether they would be surprised to know that 60% of all the money they gave to this PAC went to Trump's legal fees, was funneled all the way around here and ended up in legal fees. I don't know whether the people who contributed even a lot of those small dollar contributions that you saw over there would know that 10% of their money went to pay Trump's legal fees.
So,
and he's
Steve,
announced that he will continue to do that.
I think I'm going to sound really naive here again, but is that allowed? I mean, or is it unprecedented? But these are, 91 counts, federal indictments, civil cases. He's been found liable. This is not just like a kind of a random court battle that has nothing to do with the state of our democracy. Is there, and do these people know that their money is paying his legal fees?
Well, if they didn't know, hopefully they know now, but there has been some notice of it. Look, is it legal? I assume so. No one has said that it isn't. You can, this whole thing, by the way, of course, is a lot of loopholes and a lot of funny business that goes on in terms of people giving more than they really want you to, but being able to fund it through these PACs and back into the campaign, which is over here actually, and so forth. And so it's really, it is unprecedented in my experience. I've never heard of anyone taking legal fees of this magnitude to pay what are in effect personal fees. I think his argument would be these charges were in connection with his official duties and therefore he can take this money to do that. But that's what's been happening, an enormous amount of money going over there. So again, I think people think of the Republicans as the party of money, that they outraise the Democrats all the time. That's not true. It was not true, as I just showed you, on Trump versus Biden. It's also not true in other places. So this is the Democratic National Committee compared to the Republican National Committee. This is raising money at the party level. You can see how substantially the Democrats have outraised the Republicans. Maybe this has something to do with Ronna McDaniel not staying on after this cycle, but who knows? And then on the Senate level, it's actually pretty close to a push. But look on the House level how much of a difference there is between the two of them. And what this translates into is cash on hand. And you can see that, again, the Democratic National Committee has more than twice as much cash on hand as the Republican National Committee. The same actually happens to be true at the Senate. Same is true at the House. And so the Democrats so far are winning the money race by a long way. It's not everything, but it's something.
All right, so that was a video there breaking down the fundraising efforts from both parties and candidates, and the issues that Donald Trump is currently in as it pertains to his legal fees and his campaign donations. So I'll start with MD on this one. MD, what did you get out of that piece we just saw?
Yeah. So what's going on right now in the Trump campaign should be legal. Let's start off right there. There's no way. I don't give a damn if he was in office at the time or not. You can't justify to me uh donorship funds going, because at the end of the day it's something on a personal level. You dealing with it becomes personal funds via you handling legal fees and et cetera, et cetera. That's a personal account. At the end of the day, it should be illegal. That's first and foremost. Secondly, it it becomes a microcosm of a larger macrocosm of what we're dealing with in terms of the people who support these PACs in the Republican Party versus what they're really setting themselves up to be, which are at the end of the day cultists, because they don't see an issue with what's going on. They believe it, and we hear the rhetoric. They believe it as being virtuous in terms of fighting the fight for Trump. I mean, what Trump always say, they're not demeaning and indicting me. They indicting all of you, the American people, which they not. I ain't got no charges on me. Don't take, leave me out of it. I ain't got nothing to do with that. You know what I'm saying? So it's projection at the end of the day, like Ricardo said in the comment, of a virtuous signal in terms of what they believe this whole MAGA movement is. But at the end of the day, to me, it's a grift. It's a grift based on the unfortunate standards that Trump has created. And now we're trying to get his ass out of the hot water, and he's using the MAGA maniacs to do it. If they fine with that, hey, they fine with it. Me personally, I think it should be illegal. I seen at one point in time, this was when Ronald McDaniel was still in power at the RNC. I seen at one point in time the RNC had cash on hand only $8 million. Now that may sound like a lot of money to me and you. It's not a lot of money for the RNC. I think right now, currently, I believe it's somewhere around 14 million, which is still a low number. The last I heard with Biden and his fundraising, just and we ain't talking about the DNC, we talking about Biden. Biden alone at one point in time, I think this was in December, had like $41 million in fundraising. You know what I mean? So like it goes to show you just the outright grift that that Trump is doing in terms of using these funds. It's going to continue to happen because now we got to deal with Laura Trump. She's going to be the outlet to funnel the money. That's her position. Like who is Laura Trump? What has she done? Like who is she? You know what I mean? And now all of a sudden she the co-chair of the RNC. How? But hey, she's going to be another piece of the puzzle in the Trump crime family, political crime family. And she's going to be that outlet. So money is going to continue to be funneled where it need to go. That best suits Trump, and you don't eat it because the MAGA maniacs going to continue to give the money.
All right. All right, MD. So let's go to Mike. Mike had some comments in the chat. Let's have Mike's point of view.
My name is Others Squared.
Others Square.
Oh,
What
thank
you
you.
think?
Thank you. I was confused. First and foremost, I would like everyone to, if you ever have time, go back a couple shows you will hear MD and I arguing about why the free market is folly. And his point is the people don't want it, the people will stand up. And my point is the people are idiots, and all it takes is someone with enough money and the people will shut up. And that is literally what he just explained. These are the people who are supposed to stop the bad things from happening. They won't. They've all drunk the Kool-Aid. They've all sat down. They've played musical chairs. And the one idiot that lost is sitting on the ground because he won't leave his MAGA. He won't leave the MAGA crew. This is where they are. They're going to take us and they're going to burn it down if they don't win. Yes, this is what I was talking about. It's fantastic. Secondly, I want to say how proud I am of Trump, because a couple decades ago, this man said he was going to run. If he ran for politics, he would be a Republican because Republicans are easily swayed. And not only has this man swayed them, but he swayed them back the other direction. He swayed them to, I am going to fix the government. I'm going to uproot and get rid of the swamp. And now he's swinging back the other way. The swamp is unrootable. We have to fight the swamp. It's like he could, anything he says, it's the greatest grift of all time. I'm surprised this man wasn't on that show Leverage, because he needs to be on it. Trump is the greatest. Yo, when you said the word grift, you touched a part of me, sir. This is the greatest con job of all time. I don't think Trump wants to win. I don't think he wants to win. I think he will, but I don't think he just got the American people to pay his legal fees, and they're okay with it. The same people who don't want to pay for an immigrant if he breaks his leg. They're, I shouldn't have to pay. But his leg is broken. We'll have him go back to his country and get his own country's leg fixed and cured. They probably got some flowers they can rub on it, but pay Trump's legal fees. Oh, yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. I am amazed. This is, yo, if you don't think we are living in the times of the crumbling of Rome, all I'm telling you, I don't know where Byzantium is, but it's somewhere. It's coming up because Rome is done. We are done. I hope I can find where Byzantium is so I can run over there and try to get a membership and a citizen's card, because this country is over. It is hilarious. Now, I'm done. I'm done. Wow.
I mean, every week I just keep thinking about that super duck, and oh man,
You know what I'm waiting
Donald
for?
Trump.
You know what's my dream? My dream is to come into one show and everybody's just start sounding like me.
No.
Oh, bro, I promise you. Oh my gosh. Because I
Oh,
can't be the only one. Me and Jay can't be the only two people here that sees the FS, I'm gonna say it that way, for what it is. It's just a bunch of I'm grown, I can use better words. It's a bunch of malarkey.
that's Biden's favorite word.
He's an idiot too. All right, I'm gonna shut up. I'm sorry.
All right. So, Ricardo, what do you think about the whole situation here with the grifting, raising of funds? What do you think is going on here?
Yeah, I think there's some word of the days here that are coming about that I'm just ecstatic about. Grift was the perfect word to come about to describe Trump, because of all the things that I've seen this man done. He's launched a golden shoe for the Black community 2 weeks ago. He's done countless Trump University things, and people are like, hey, but you said we're going to be super millionaires and rich by like 2020 something. And it turns out to be a complete fallacy. And
Don't
then
forget the NFTs that were out of stock. I don't know how digital content is out of stock.
there was a whole bunch of other stuff. Listen, I gotta hand it to him, and I've got to say, and I've said it before, he's one of probably the greatest marketers I've ever seen in my lifetime. Like Trump, I remember, growing up in the 90s where Trump was on every freaking plastered, merchandise that you could think of. And it was just like, no one would have ever thought in this day and age that we'll live to see this man become president at a time when the world would have changed into what we see now. This is beyond Twilight Zone, and I'm still baffled and shocked that people are taking their hard-earning money to then give to this man to help with anything regarding legal. This is a man that claimed multiple times that he's one of the world's greatest, smartest billionaires that you could ever think of. Yes, so
During
much.
inflation.
He
During
has.
inflation.
It's like the things that I mean. He cannot come up with the most bizarre speeches you can think of. I'm the smartest president. I'm the richest president, the richest person. And then you turn around and take your hard earning money that you have to bend over backwards for. Okay, no, I'm gonna stop that. Pause. But you taking all that money that you worked so hard for, that you labored and sweat over, to then give a billionaire. I don't even know how to even fathom. But this is the world's richest country. By all means, if you feel like you want to take your money and give to a billionaire, by all means, people go ahead and be stupid with it. But not this one. Not this dude that works so hard to then even get a damn vacation day at that. To then turn around and take my hard-earned money, let alone I don't even give when I was going to strip clubs a full-on $20 bill. I give like nickels and work my way up to the dime, and then I go all the way up to $1 if you're lucky. You won't take your
Tell
hard
him.
money.
Tell
Man,
him.
you'll be escorted out the strip club by then, man.
More than once. But this is just beyond crazy. MAGA crowd, what are you guys doing? Like, he could do no wrong for you guys. Like, he could say, but then again, I mean, this is the man that said I could walk in the middle of Central Park or New York City and shoot a guy and get away with it. This is beyond brainwashing nonsense at this point. What are you guys doing? I am not doing it. But then if you feel entitled to support this man by sending your hard-earned money, and believe it or not, I've seen people do what do you call that thing where is it crowdfunding and GoFundMe. There's literally a GoFundMe that I've seen that people are literally contributing every week that's now close to almost $100,000. Why? I don't know, but guess what? Hey, and then like Mike said, don't come crying Argentina. Don't cry for me, Argentina, when you start losing your house and you lose this and you expect sympathy from. Nope, not gonna get it from me, because I have never heard, and mama didn't raise no fool, neither did daddy, to take my hard-earned money to then. I don't even give a homeless person when they sometimes don't even take the money to buy food. You're just doing it for the sake of, I'm just, but I shouldn't say that. That comes off very wrong. But some, I'm not going to generalize, some do that. My point now is, what happens when he keeps getting away with this? Like, we're still supporting bad behavior. It's just, he reminds me of a perpetual kid that does bad things in the classroom, and you say, stop that, Michael, or stop that little Fizz, or stop that whatever, and he's just like, okay, but then with 2 seconds later, he's going to get up and do it and get away with it again. No. When are you going to scold him and tell him, listen, you can't do that anymore? It is illegal. It is not what you call it. It's not within the best interest of the American people. What you're doing, you're literally just brainwashing. But then I digress. We've seen preachers done worse, because we said this last week and we've shown it last week. We've seen politicians done worse. But how, where does it end? Where does it start? Where does it meet in the middle? Somebody gotta explain this to me. It's Twilight Zone Overload 101. Grifty McGriff wins the day. I don't know. I'm done.
All right, thank you, Ricardo. And now, Jeremy, your point of view on it.
All right. So I would like to say that everyone that hears this whole thing about taking funds and spending it for personal gain, well, nothing new under the sun. He did it, and Biden did it earlier with he's got caught red-handed with his hand in the piggy jar, him and his son over there in Ukraine. It's the same thing. They're all the same. I don't know how much clearer it has to get for people to wake up and see that it's disgusting, and they keep doing it because they keep getting away with it. Every one of them gets away with it. They're all greedy, selfish, self-absorbed, And you know what? They're cocky, and they have a reason to be, because people are stupid. They are stupid, and they believe everything that's shoveled it in front of them, and they just eat it with a happy face. Uh, it's embarrassing that people would be stupid enough to give money, like the gentleman said earlier, to a billionaire. That's borderline retarded. That is, I don't even know why you would do that. That just doesn't even make sense. You're over here struggling to keep the lights on, but you're going to shovel money to a billionaire who's living in multiple mansions with yachts and skyscrapers and traveling the world, and, you know, with his orange glow, shining bright, looking like an idiot with a 1980s toupee. But I don't get it. I just don't understand why people keep falling for the okie doke. That's what they're falling for every single time. Yep, I'm your friend. I'm going to help you. Oh, wait, nope, not happening. Oh, I need more money. Yep. You keep shoveling out millions upon millions of dollars to these people who don't help you at all. You're still struggling while they're just living their best life now, as everybody likes to say, on your hard-earned money. I don't get it. It's beyond stupid. You know, there's a old saying, the check's in the mail, I won't come in your mouth, and just a tip. Those are the three greatest lies, and everybody falls for them every single time. That's exactly what they do. And
That was a good.
you can keep.
I rock with that. That was a good.
That was amazing.
Bro, Orange Glow is going on the list for next year.
Jeremy about to hit legendary status.
Yeah. You slowly winning me over, Mr. Dunbar. You slowly winning me over.
I'm about to send them some
Not
bucks.
the
It's gonna
list
be
winning
vicious,
people over.
but I want to make one point, then I'm gonna shut up. The only human being that should be upset at what's going on is Vince McMahon. Because how the hell I'm going through my trial and now I find out that my wife is paying my rival's legal bills. Y'all heard that?
Yeah,
Linda McMahon
I
is
didn't know
paying
there
for
were
Donald
enemies
Trump's
like that.
legal bills. What kind of bullshit? I'm sorry. That's how I'd be mad if I was Vince. That's why Vince over here messing with them 30 to 21-year-olds. All right, I'm done. Go ahead, Van Gap.
No, it's true, man. I mean, it's. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie Idiocracy, but if you haven't, watch it. You're looking at it today. You're looking at it. I strongly advise you to watch that movie, and you'll be like, "Wow, yes." The society has become dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber. I used to make fun of my dad when he used to always tell me this, the dumbing down of America. I used to make fun of him all the time, and now I agree with him. It is truly the dumbing down of America. This country has become stupider and stupider, and it's just stupider as each year goes on. I can't do anymore. That's it. I'm sorry. It's embarrassing.
All right. Thank you, Jeremy. So now we're going to go to a news update. The update's going to be on the Haiti situation. We'll be back on the other end.
This morning, Haiti descending further into chaos. After over a week of some of the worst violence the country has seen, the Prime Minister of Haiti overnight announcing his plans for resignation, releasing this video statement urging calm for the people of Haiti, saying he and his team will resign after the transitional consul is created. The resignation coming the same day leaders of the Caribbean nations held an emergency meeting over the crisis in Jamaica. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken flew down to meet with the leaders, saying earlier Monday that Haitians cannot wait any longer for a path to security, stability, and democracy.
What we've seen in recent days, again, should remind us that the already challenging and difficult security situation has now deteriorated even further.
Instability has worsened in Haiti since the 2021 assassination of then Prime Minister Jovenel Moïse, and Ariel Henry then came into power. Best-selling author Mitch Albom runs an orphanage in Haiti and spoke to Today in 2021 when 17 members of a missionary group were abducted by members of a Haitian gang.
There's not a lot of hope because you're right, the government has collapsed. The police, you can't trust. One of the most notorious gang leaders is a former police officer.
But last week, gangs that usually fight each other banded together, attacking the presidential palace, the airports, even the prisons, releasing thousands of prisoners.
Over the weekend, President Biden approved a military operation to airlift some non-essential personnel from the American embassy in Haiti. And we know, according to what consulars were saying last night, a traditional consul will select and appoint an interim prime minister. But the United Nations has said just in the last week alone, 15,000 Haitians have been displaced. So, Hoda, humanitarian aid workers are saying time is of the essence.
All right. So that was a little update there on the Haiti situation. What we have now is we'll go to MD. MD, what did you think about currently where Haiti stands?
You know it's sad, man. The downward spiral that Haiti is going in right now in terms of and I'm not looking. I understand the turmoil when it comes to the violence and all that. I'm trying to look at it from a political aspect, and I think we talked about this last week or week before last. And I'm gonna reiterate it again. It may be time if the UN is not gonna do some a coalition to try to bring stability to the government in itself. It may be time for somebody to annex it. I mean, it is what it is. You know what I mean? If they don't care enough to have a process of democracy or just have a process of a simple government, whatever it may be, then what are we doing? You know what I mean? If the goal at the end of the day for a lot of these gangs to try to bring forth a legitimate government, then the UN should be working toward that with these people. You know what I mean? Because they at the end of the day they still Haitian nationalists. You know what I mean? So who am I? Yeah, I can say one thing about the violence that's erupted, but who am I to say how you should govern yourself? I'm not in no position to say that. If these people feel like they should be governed a certain way, they should bring forth said means to do it. You know what I mean? With the help of stabilization through foreign entity. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, if it continue on like this, somebody might just have to go and swoop on in and take control because that's where it's at right now. It's complete and utter chaos, and I don't see a means to rectify it from a political sense. You know what I mean? Not what they doing. I mean, hell, the PM resigning. They're supposed to put a council together. Who gonna put the council together? Again, I'm all for if these people are fighting to bring forth a revolution in terms of how they should govern themselves. I'm all for them being at the table, despite the violence or whatnot. But if you're just gonna continue to go down that road, then I hate to say it the way I'm gonna say it. Maybe the white man should just come on in and handle that. You know what I mean? That I'm just keeping it a buck at this point.
All right, MD. All right, Ricardo, what you got on the Haiti situation currently?
I'm going to echo the same sentiments. Like I said last week, I feel like the destabilization of Haiti has a number of consequences and a number of things that we can't seem to be understanding. I just don't understand why, since the late 80s leading up to now, Haiti has been destabilized and it can't seem to get back into recovery mode. Every time, and maybe they're just the country is just unfortunate. Maybe it's just the luck of the draw of it. Maybe it's divine intervention. I don't know what it is, but every time Haiti's supposed to rebuild itself, it gets struck by natural disaster. Then it's struck by some kind of political interference. And don't get me wrong, because there's a lot of people that are pulling and pushing here. And we could count nameless names. The UN is not absolved from this. The Clintons are not absolved from this. The citizens of the United States are not absolved from this. The rest of the world isn't. especially France, because Lord knows there's so much to call out here. But it's like looking at other countries that are in the same position, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Sierra Leone. There's certain places that you just consistently see the same thing. And I'm wondering to myself, maybe I'm putting on my tin hat here and saying, well, why is it that we consistently see the same thing over and over again? And it's not like anybody's calling it out. And it's like it's getting repetitively worse. But then everybody's going, hey, but look at that dog over there jumping up and down and doing jumping jacks. It's like, really, people, it will eventually affect you at some point. And then when it does affect you, what are you going to then say? Oh, well, let them stay over there and worry about it. No, it doesn't work like that. Not in a globalized world. And I keep saying this, and I'm going to say it again. The world has become so globalized that anything that affects one affects everybody down by trickling down the line. So it's like a conveyor belt. It's just going to keep going. It's our issue as well as the rest of the world. Now, don't get me wrong. The U.S. has done the policing when it took over the policing from, the United Kingdom, from Great Britain, Scotland, Northern Ireland, and Wales. But at this particular point, you took on being policing. So then now do you then say, hey, to the rest of the world, we've been policing for God knows how long, since we took over from the Brits. Maybe it's time we now go to you and say, where do you think you should, like, are you guys going to contribute money as well? How do we solve most of the issues that we're seeing? Because we can't do this by ourselves. It's a collective group here. So it seems to me like, and it's just like and the one thing I always give credit to, and I give credit where it's due, is when Trump went to NATO and said, hey, enough is enough. My country seem to be footing the bill here. When are y'all going to start contributing? Because it's not y'all are poor. Y'all are filthy rich with natural resources. So either you chip in, shut up and keep your ass quiet, or you start contributing your 2%, 1%, even heck 10%, and help NATO be what it is. And they all, like, within the next 2 days of him saying that in the speech, was like, oh yeah, well, he's right. We should all contribute. It's the same thing that the United States should be doing now on the world scale, saying, hey, enough is enough. We've policed so much that we're literally running out of policing tactics to help these countries. Like Haiti. What are you guys gonna do now? Do we do a United Nations revamp 2.0, or do we do a League of Nations 2.0? I don't know, because League of Nations and is the same thing, just the US never joined. But what do we at this point? That's what I think, because these countries that are destabilized, and no one says or is doing anything about it. So it just keeps going downhill and it's repeating itself over and over again. When do we then say something? That's where I'm at. But it's sad, given the state of what Haiti is in now. I don't know what I can predict at this point, or other than let's hope there's a brighter vision in the future for this country, and hopefully the suffering ends soon.
All right,
Hey,
thank you,
real quick,
Ricardo.
okay, let me push back on that real quick. What Ricardo just said, because he brought up the NATO situation, and we talked about this already. I believe when I was on a couple of shows we did before, we talked about the 2% guideline that NATO has. That's not these other countries' fault. You have to understand that the United States got a lot of interest around the world. Therefore, I mean, hell, I would argue that it's only fair that based on the investment and the stakes that they have in resources around the world, they should fit the bill for most of it. When we talk, just for example, when we talk about Ukraine, the 2% guideline clearly states that NATO countries are only to provide the 2% of their GDP toward the defense through NATO. That's just what it is. They didn't come up with it. As a matter of fact, United States was the one that came through that way back when. You know what I'm saying? So when we talk about interest with other countries, we got to look at it from a individual country as far as an investment standpoint. There is no investment in Haiti. We already talked about this too, I think, on the show that we did talking about Haiti. You're gonna have to tell me, like, it's cool to say, oh, Haiti has this, Haiti has that as a resource or an export or whatever the situation may be. Show me the benefit through either private company or other not private companies or other countries. If you can't do that, then we just floating ideas in the wind at the end of the day. The
But
reason
but
that
but wouldn't one of the reasons be that by them helping Haiti, it avoids Haiti having refugees going all over the place, and the instability just isn't good in general in the region. So
I
just
agree
by
with that.
doing a little help,
Yeah,
okay.
I agree 100%. But that's also continuing to turn the hamster wheel. What by having stability in Haiti from a social standpoint, what is that doing for them economically? Because that's the root. That I think somebody said in the comments. I think it was you who called them money the root of all evil, ain't it? Hell, in Bizarro land, Haiti, no money. It's pure chaos. You know what I'm saying? So show me where the investment now is. Again, I agree. Something should be done from the aspect of bringing social stability to Haiti. No question about it. Now turn around and show me what the plan is going to be as far as investment. Who's going to do that? Is it going to be a country? Is it going to be a private entity? I would argue if it's a country, then that country should have said investment in whatever resource that they're helping to produce within Haiti. That's just the way it works. I didn't come up with the rule.
MD, answer this question that Trevor sent. It says, MD, would you be okay with Haiti becoming in U.S. territory?
As long as it benefit mainland United States, yeah, of course. But again,
what would
that's the question that I asked. Show me how it can benefit mainland United States.
So what would the benefit be? Is it going to be like how we do with Puerto Rico?
Exactly. Are we going
That's
to
not a good
exclude them?
deal. That's not a
Are they
good deal at all.
willing to vote, or are they going to be excluded from the general election? How does that work?
Again, those are all questions that need to be asked in relative terms to what the process may be. Like, I'm just throwing stuff out. Like I said, I'm looking at it from the social aspect of the division within the country. Yes, something should be done from a humanitarian aspect. No question about it. But if we're talking about long-term stability economically from a governmental aspect, show me what the benefit, because it's got to be one. Like, whether you agree with it or not, it's got to be one. Show me, and I don't know the answer to it. Show me what the possible benefit could be in terms of, I don't want to say it this harshly, but siphoning what they have to us. Whether that be resources or services. That's all I'm saying.
Siphoning, that's a word for that ass right there.
I didn't want to say it that harshly, but I couldn't come up with nothing else. It is what it is.
All right. So thanks, MD, for that one. Jeremy, what's your point of view on the Haiti situation? Any thoughts or ideas on how to help it?
I don't know too much about the Haiti situation. I don't know too much on their history as far as economics and things of that nature. I do feel sorry for the people that are suffering there. It's sad to see. I don't like to. Everybody who knows me knows that I don't like to see people suffer. The answer is not an easy one. MD had a good idea in a sense as far as Trevor, asking the question about if it would be a U.S. territory, but then in the same notion that Ricardo mentioned on the Puerto Rican deal, and I believe you did too, Van Cat, it's not a very good deal for that country. And that, to me, sounds like exploitation, which seems to be the common remedy whenever we hear scenarios being solved is how can we exploit? Well, why do we need to exploit them? Why can't we aid them in a way where we don't exploit them? I often had this conversation with a gentleman I used to work with. He was from Guatemala, and we would often talk about the scenarios in Guatemala, and I would tell him, well, I think what should happen is if the government truly cared, the United States truly cared, and its people, its politicians, why don't they make an attempt to teach these other politicians in other countries on how to become prosperous versus keeping it to themselves and posing to be a savior? Why do we have to have all the control? Why can't we arm them with some sort of economical understanding and empower them so they can be self-sufficient, right? And we can work together versus exploitation. To me, that sounds more of a plan than what am I going to get out of it? Well, that continues to cause more rifts around the globe. That's why we see the scenarios that happen in the Middle East, because the United States exploited those countries, robbed them blind, and left them with nothing and just a beat down country. So that formed terrorists in a sense because they felt that the United States used them. Happened over in many other areas. You know, you can go on throughout history and see how exploitation of a country more or less caused more anger and hatred and created more of these hate groups. Why don't we just empower them? Why don't we teach them how to be self-sufficient and help them until they're able to stand on their feet? Sort of like you do your neighbor, like, you know, or a friend, like your friend struggles with something. So I mean, obviously it's on a much larger scale, so there's more working parts, but the concept in itself would work. Figuring that out, how to do it, I wouldn't know where to begin, but that seems to be an idea. Whereas if you had a friend who was down, you would help him get up and show him, hey, why don't you do this instead of this and try over here? And then you like guide them versus sucking resources and financial gain out of them. I don't know if that sounds like a good idea to any of you use, but that's what I can think of at the moment.
All right. Thank you, Jeremy. All right. So, yeah, this is going to be a tough situation all around. Hopefully soon there'll be some positive progress to this issue. But, you know, when you got a guy leading the anarchy in Haiti and his name is Barbecue, it's a tough haul because what did he have to do to get that name? So, with all the crazy stuff that's happening in the world, you know, this is a story here that was sent over by MD. MD presented this, and it showed the actual footage. That footage has practically been scrubbed from the internet. I can't find it. But the story, nonetheless, is an important story that needs to be conversated, at least heard. Haven't seen many reports on it, like as if it almost didn't happen, but we know it happened. So here's a protest that went a very, very harsh way. But I guess the gentleman was trying to get attention, so that was the best way he could. So let's take a look at this video here. I will be right back.
An active duty U.S. Air Force member from San Antonio has died after lighting himself on fire outside the Israel embassy in Washington, D.C. Police say 25-year-old Aaron Bushnell walked up to the embassy Sunday afternoon. Stated he started a live stream online, ignited himself in flames, and yelled, "Free Palestine." He died from his burns at a hospital. The Air Force says Bushnell was a cyber defense operations specialist at Joint Base San Antonio.
Back in the U.S., a pretty shocking incident leading to a security scare in front of the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C. A U.S. official tells NBC News an active duty member of the U.S. Air Force set himself on fire in front of the embassy. He has now died from wounds sustained during that incident, according to the official. In a video, you see he's wearing his military uniform and says he does not want to be complicit in Israeli violence against Palestinians.
Free Palestine. Those were the final words of 25-year-old U.S. service member Aaron Bushnell as flames engulfed his body here outside of the Israeli embassy in Washington yesterday. 24 hours later, over 100 people have come out to the site of Bushnell's final moments to commemorate him, hoping that his death will spark change.
Aaron, his death cannot be in vain. His message needs to get out, and we also need to make sure that we are supporting anybody else that's like Aaron, that's having these same feelings, because how are we supposed to deal with a genocide? We've never seen anything like this before in our lives, and our government just expects that the American people are going to watch this unfold for 5 months now, and there aren't going to be any mental issues. Of course there's mental issues across the board. Anybody with access to the internet is watching a genocide unfold in modern day time.
Yesterday, an active duty service member set himself on fire in front of the Israeli embassy in protest of U.S. support for Israel's operations in Gaza. Has the Secretary been briefed on Airman Bushnell, and is he concerned that maybe this airman's actions may indicate that there's a bigger issue within the military as far as U.S. support for this ongoing operation?
Yeah, so the Secretary is following the situation. I know the Air Force has confirmed the airman's death. They do plan to provide additional information 24 hours after next of kin notifications are complete. It certainly is a tragic event. We do extend our condolences to the airman's family.
But is the Secretary concerned that this might indicate that there's a deeper issue, maybe the U.S. military personnel being concerned about how weapons and support for Israel is being used on civilians in Gaza?
Well, look, from a Department of Defense standpoint, since Hamas's brutal attacks on October 7th, we've been focused on the 4 key areas that the Secretary set out from the onset. That's protecting U.S. forces and citizens in the region, supporting Israel's inherent right to defend itself from terrorist attacks, working closely with Israel to support and secure the release of hostages from Hamas, and ensuring that the conflict between Hamas and Israel doesn't escalate into a broader regional conflict.
He said in his final act of compassion,
I will not be complicit in genocide. We will not stand idly by. We will never stop. We will not be complicit in genocide. We take this moment to hear his final words, followed by a minute of silence for the 30,000 martyrs murdered by the State of Israel and the U.S. war machine. He said, "Free Palestine, free Palestine, free Palestine. We will never stop fighting. I ask you to also express your outrage. In unison, let us shout those words, Free Palestine. Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
All right. Very tough situation there. It's even tougher to see the video itself. MD, you sent that video in the chat, so I'll have you start off with the conversation here.
Yeah, it's a unfortunate situation. When you combine a strong position in terms of a collective thought of humanity versus, and I can't say that I can say clear cut that that's what it was, but for the sake of the argument, I'll say along with some type of mental issue, you come up with stuff like this. It's an unfortunate situation, but it shows the the compassion in terms of what a lot of people feel right now dealing with this situation in Gaza. Again, like I believe I said this either last week or week before last. This is a similar situation in terms of how we saw, and if you studied it, the 1968 election with Herbert Humphrey and Nixon. Nixon, in a lot of cases, is very similar to a person like Donald Trump. Again, I won't say he's that extreme, but in a lot of ways, in terms of galvanizing a certain demographic of people with a certain ideology, of conventional republicanism in terms of the conservative outlook versus a person like Herbert Humphrey that was complicit in the sanctions of war in Vietnam. He essentially lost that race because of it. I'm not saying that that's going to happen with Biden because there's a lot of other factors going in to this particular race, but it's a it's eerily similar in terms of how we look at it. In 1968, the DNC, the National Convention, those people protested the hell out of it to a point where it was an outcry from a national aspect, and that essentially what lost Herbert Humphrey that presidency to Nixon. Same situation I can see with Biden as far as the protest. These people are fed up, man. They fed up with. I'm not gonna say complicitness. I would say enabling in terms of the outlook of what Israel is. But again, when you're looking at it for face value, you tend to not look at the baseline reason behind why not only the U.S. but hell the worldwide community does what they do in terms of enabling Israel. You know, the face value reasoning would be some type of I don't want to say religious because it is really not that, but some type of autonomous statehood for a certain group of people. I'm trying not to use the J word. Autonomy at the end of the day. Whereas when you look at the overall standpoint of, especially a lot of Democratic Americans, the overall standpoint of how we view the process of democracy around the world, hell, a lot of those people will say we should all, despite what nationality or race or creed you may be, should all be involved in that process. So in that term, it's kind of duplicitous in a lot of people's thinking. You know what I mean? It's either you're gonna think of it one way or you're gonna think of it another way. Especially with the Democrats, because a lot of Democrats is not coming with the religious aspect. They coming at it from a freedom aspect or a democratic aspect in terms of who all should be involved in what. I get it, but then you turn around and supplement that same argument for the standing of an autonomous group that's just supposed to be for one person, one group of people. So it's a tough situation. Hopefully we can get out of it. I'm to the point now where I'm not even promoting the two-state solution, because if we truly believe in freedom and truly believe in rights for all people, it don't matter if you of that certain ilk or you Palestinian. They should all have the same rights despite the land. So that's where I'm at with it.
All right, MD. Ricardo, your thoughts here on this well, you've seen. I'm sure you've seen the video that MD showed in the group. Tough video to watch. What are your thoughts on this situation?
I mean, it was very just very real. Like it was not for the faintest of hearts. I've watched it from beginning to the end, and just one of them things where it reminds you of why humanity still makes a poignant point of protesting certain political aspects in certain spectrums of the politics and worldviews. And this was a soldier that fought and just decided, hey, you know what, enough is enough. And I've said this to a number of times being on the show, that we used to be a time when used to have us being so pro-Israel that in this particular instance, since October, I've noticed it's deviated and changed. I think Israel thought that a lot of people, the state of Israel thought a lot of people would be on its side. That is not the case here. It's now literally switched. And even I myself find myself used to being pro-Israeli and everything of that nature. I'm not in that stance anymore. I'm literally looking at it from another way of being like, hey, at this point, it's just really atrocious and bad. And what is it going to take for Netanyahu to like literally budge to the point where now even Biden, and this is where I'm going to really watch in the coming days or weeks or months to see if it's Biden taking a stance and Netanyahu, because Netanyahu said tonight, hey, we're going to push forward to annex Rafah. And Biden is like, listen, I'm calling for a ceasefire and putting my foot on here, and I need you to stop now. Like, they've gotten calls from other people, and I need you to put. They said no. It's like, moving forward, because I'm saying to myself, this is crazy, because I would love to see if Biden's word choice is going to prevail, or is it now the world is going to be in the out, and the fact that nepotism runs him in Israel because he has his son and a couple other people in the family in part of his whole cabinet. That's a whole other story for another day. But there's a lot of things that are here that are amiss, and it comes back to full circle of the demonstration of the soldier. May God, may his soul rest in peace. But this is not that different from the Buddhists that were burning themselves, years in protest of I can't remember where it was. MD, you might have to remind me. But I think you remember what this was, where there was like a number of Buddhists that burned
themselves. During Vietnam, wasn't it?
Right. So it's not far along from that, but it still is real when you see it in the context of a video of someone lighting themselves on fire in front of an embassy at that, which is the country that you serve. And they themselves are saying a whole bunch of stuff and don't even know how to quell the situation. It was just very bizarre, but still real. And it shows you that humanity as a whole, when it comes to certain things of demonstrative point of views, we still don't know how to handle it in a way that would, save the person's life, but at the same length of breath does then bring attention to the issue, if that makes sense. So it's a double-edged sword of sorts. All around, just very sad, but I guess, and it's funny to me how you can't find the video now. Like, it's completely scrubbed for real from off the internet. It's amazing how they could scrub that, but there's other things that they refuse to scrub off there. But that's a topic for a whole other day. Then babies, schools being blown up left, right, and center. It's like, really, this is what we're doing. So censorship again is an issue for me when it's only for the propaganda, but when it's for other things being brought to attention, it's like, oh no, it doesn't matter. It doesn't work like that anymore. Not in the age that we live in. This day and age does not strike that chord anymore. But I digress.
Hey,
All right.
I'm glad you said that, Ricardo. Hey, look, Venkat, are you gonna talk? And I don't wanna skip ahead because
No, go
this
ahead.
goes directly into what happened Monday. Are you gonna talk about the TikTok situation?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. You can bring it up.
Well, to Ricardo's point about the the government being able to take these videos away and stuff.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, go
you had
ahead.
the situation. Yeah, you had the situation where they brought the bill up to ban TikTok.
Right, right.
It's
Trump.
fun.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah, and now Trump is backtracking from it.
right,
It's funny to me how, again, and this ain't just up under one administration. This has been happening. It's funny to me how the government, in order to not necessarily cover up, but just to censor certain content, they can wipe it from existence. Yeah, and I'm not for the banning of TikTok, by the way. But
right,
it's funny to me that we need whole pieces of legislation to get rid of something based on basically a premonition that the Chinese government is taking information from the American people. Where is the federal government in consolidating that? You know what I'm saying?
right,
And then that was a mainstream Republican effort. Now all of a sudden, because Trump said it's not no more. But again, I digress.
And the main opposition reason for the Republicans is because TikTok was a major tool for young Democrats, people to
Exactly.
vote Democratic. That's why they're trying to eliminate it. That's the real agenda of that whole issue. Okay, so Jeremy Dunbar, what I don't know if you've seen the video or know of the situation, but your general thoughts here on the suicide here where the soldier killed himself.
I have not seen the video. I don't think I want to see the video, to be honest with you, simply because I don't want to see some man. I know the reality of it, but I'd rather not see some man kill himself. Um, and it's sad to say, but people are not going to remember him. People are not going to remember this moment because people are short lived in their mind on situations that happen and they forget them often. Um, Something new comes up and they forget that person. And that's the reality of it, unfortunately. But this situation here with Israel and Palestine, this here is genocide. And I think people hold on to the fact of what happened in World War II, to the Israelis that died. I won't say the other word. I don't want to get you guys in trouble. I'm sure, I don't want you to strike or anything. Um, but you can't hold on to that. That happened before. It's not now. Now they're doing the thing that was done to them, which is very hypocritical. How can you talk about a history of yours and then do the same? It's hypocrisy. That should make you remember what it was like and do the opposite. And this is most certainly time for a scriptural moment for sure. And I'm going to bring it. And I want to go to Exodus 20 and 13. And it's a very simple command. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not kill, including yourself. Thou shalt not kill. That's a commandment. That's not an opinion. That's not a maybe so. That's don't do it. And then I also want to get to the matter of what we're seeing. If you go to St. Matthew 5:43 and 44, I believe it's Matthew 5 and 40. Yes, that's not what's happening now, but this is what they should be doing. This is what I was telling you guys a couple weeks ago, what they ought to be doing. And this is why, if they followed Christ and his ways, this is the way they would be. It says, ye have heard that it hath been said, thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy. Verse 44 says, but I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you. And it says, why in 45? That ye may be the children of your Father which is in heaven. For he maketh his sun to rise on the evil and on the good, and sendeth rain on the just and on the unjust. For if ye love them which love you, what reward have you? Do not even the publicans the same? And if ye salute your brethren only, what do ye more than the other? Do not even the publicans so? Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. Perfection is in the ways of eyes of God, not man. You're going to make mistakes like, oh, oops, I missed up on my math. That's not what this is talking about. This is talking about your conduct and your character. And I want to go to Galatians chapter 5. This is going to tell you what you see. Verse 19, and we'll go to verse 23. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, which is extreme lust, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of God. Verse 22 says, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. If we had the fruits of the Spirit, you would not see this, because you would love them and you would care for their well-being, not just your own. So this can never be. This is going to continuously happen, and it's sad to see it each and every day. But this is why I bring this to a scriptural perspective, a scriptural way. It's because the scriptures teach you to love people. Do you have to always agree with them? No, but you must love them. You must help them. You must care for them. You must be there for them. You don't see that today. You see eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth. And that's the wrong way to go about it. And that's all I have to say.
All right, Jeremy, very well said. So we got pretty much one video left besides the nightcap. This video is a video that I was trying to do about 2 weeks ago, but every week there's just so many things going on that we just couldn't get to it. So at this point, we know of Mitch McConnell. He is retiring from politics, from the government, from the Senate. So let's just take a quick look at this video and then our thoughts on Mitch McConnell's legacy.
Okay.
Senator, you're up for election in 3 short years. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm sorry, I had a hard time hearing you.
That's okay. What are your thoughts on running for re-election in 2026?
What are my thoughts about what?
Running for re-election in 2026.
That's
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026?
Yes.
All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute. Senator Benny.
Yep. Head outside, son. Come with us.
After finishing the NDA this week, has been good bipartisan cooperation and a string of
Okay, Mitch? Anything else you want to say, or should we just go back to your office? Do you want to say anything else to the press? Let's go back to you.
Go ahead, John.
I'll take it. Let's go back to you.
Go ahead, John.
We'll go on. This breaking news gives us a new topic to talk about, definitely on the other side. A Senate Minority Leader, he's ranking leader in the Senate because Republicans are not in leadership majority. Mitch McConnell will step down from his post in November. And we know that he is the longest serving Senate leader in history who's maintained his power in the face of dramatic convulsions in the Republican Party for nearly 2 decades. They've had a lot of change. Well, let's not even ignore the stuff that's happened on the other side and is happening now. I'm reading to you, just so you know, from the Associated Press. So it is written with some interesting color. McConnell just turned 82 last week and was set to announce his decision today in well of the Senate, a place where he looked in awe from its back benches in 1985 when he arrived, and where he grew increasingly comfortable in front row seat afforded by party leaders. Again, Mitch McConnell is stepping down, and he'll leave his job as the leader of Republicans in the Senate in November.
as some of you may know, this has been a particularly difficult time for my family. We tragically lost Elaine's younger sister, Angela, just a few weeks ago. When you lose a loved one, particularly at a young age, there's a certain introspection that accompanies the grieving process. I turned 82 last week. The end of my contributions are closer than I'd prefer. My career in the United States Senate began amidst the Reagan Revolution. The truth is, when I got here, I was just happy if anybody remembered my name. President Reagan called me Mitch O'Donnell. Close enough, I thought. I'm filled with heartfelt gratitude and humility for the opportunity. But now it's 2024. I'm now 82. As Ecclesiastes tells us, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. To serve Kentucky in the Senate has been the honor of my life. To lead my Republican colleagues has been the highest privilege.
All right, so that's Mitch McConnell, and MD. What are your thoughts here on the legacy of Mitch McConnell and what he means to our politics?
So as he said in his speech on the Senate floor, he came in under the highest of the highs during the Reagan years of ultra conservatism, socially and fiscally. He knows what it means to be a true conservative. Mitch McConnell will be forever known as a coward for not standing on his conservative principles that were instilled in him by Ronald Reagan. Point blank. Period. The things that he's done, the hell, I would say that for the last almost 16 years now, have been in stark contradiction to what it means to be a true conservative Republican. Because everything he's pretty much has done within that time span has been reactionary to the Democratic Party, which is not how it's supposed to be done. It all boils down to these last 8 years with the Trump presidency, as well as the 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 reelection campaign of Trump. That's what it all is. It's all gonna come down. His illustrious career on the Senate floor is gonna come down to the last 8 years, and that's sad. Just today, I believe it was. I saw the video where they were asking him about how we felt about the continuation bill that got passed the end of last week to stop the shutdown again, and he was urging Congress to pass the appropriation bill that's got the Ukraine funding in it. He was like, at this point, it's getting silly. Well, just also last week, you also said that you would endorse Trump because he's the Republican presidential candidate of your party. But he's the one that's stopping said bill from being passed. So what are we doing here? You're a coward. You're not standing on your conservative principles, and just go get into bed and go ahead and pass on in front of your loved ones, because that's what it is at this point. We done seen you on live TV get stuck in the phantom zone a couple of times, and it is what it is. That don't take away from who you are, from a principle aspect in terms of your conservatism, and you shied away from it because you're afraid of Donald John Trump, and that's what your legacy will be to your last 8 years of your career. Sad but true.
All right, thank you, MD. Ricardo, what are your thoughts on the turtle?
Turtle power to the max. I don't know. It's for me. I've always found Mitch McConnell to be just so utterly vile in the worst way, because of the things that I've seen him got away with, the things that he's done, the things that he could have literally assisted in. He literally just, I don't know if it was for the love of money, the love of politics, but in cringe-worthy form, in his very last hurrah and days, you literally see him unable to speak, and I believe that was a stroke, but we've still yet to hear confirmation of that. When you're unable to respond to a question that is being thrown at you, and it takes you 5 minutes for your aide to come and try to get you out of a bind, it's literally done. And at that point, he should have retired from a long time. I have no idea why Kentucky kept sending him back, but we kind of do have an idea why. Because of, again, since the beginning of the show, I said this, he was always embedded with these dirty money people that kept sending him back and forth every single year. Not every single year, but you know what I mean, in terms of the political cycle. He kept winning. How do you then justify the state that you're in continuously? Because Kentucky is not by any means a state that gets, I don't even know how to say it, but the lobbyists consistently vote him into power, and his state just consistently slides down in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of how it's depicted. It's still a hillbilly state. And it's not like Kentucky is moving about from as a red state, getting up there like how you have Florida or Georgia. It's just the Appalachian terribleness that you consistently see in terms of the negative stereotypes. And, you have only yourselves to blame, people in Kentucky, because he should have been gone from a long time. he should have been out of power. But here we are in his last days, about to be on his like stroke mode. He can't do nothing, can't walk, can't talk, and it's like, oh, I'm just gonna bow out gracefully. No, I don't. No one feels sorry for you, Mitch. I mean, I would take Boehner at any day than you, because at least his crime bits was one thing, but you were just despicable at best. And I don't want to speak anything negative else going forward, but you were a terrible, terrible man when it came to just anything that would have been conservative values that would have been pushed progressively. You kept stopping and railroading it in a way that I was like, what was your alternative? And you never had any. Your objection to Obama was, I'm going to stop him in his tracks every single time we try to do something. That's not aiding or assisting this country. That was just you under your own political guise trying to one up someone. How was that in the best interest of the American people? I will never understand. But hey, listen, your time couldn't have come well off now, and I wish you nothing but the best. So I wish you well, sir. Go do your geriatrics in whatever way format you want to do.
Yeah, yeah. It was under Obama when he became reactionary. And like I said, that's the sad part about it. But ultimately, like I said, because of his cowardice to Trump for his first term and ultimately his second campaign, that's what he'll be known for. And it's sad to say. Let me answer Bone question real quick. He asked, once a politician retires, do they still get paid? No, they won't still get paid, but they still get benefit.
Yes.
So he still get the health care and all of that.
That you don't get is what he's getting, as among other things that he be getting. And this is why I was trying to ask Jeremy Dunbar when he was up there, like these are like how do you justify it? Because again, these politicians will always get free things, free healthcare. But where were you when they were doing the Affordable Health Care Act, when they were trying to put in the public option, all of that? Why weren't you screaming on top of the roof for that? You want to get mad now, but where were you then when people like myself was like, okay, well, how comes y'all were getting free healthcare and us, the American people, are not? That's the type of thing I'm talking about. Like, it's one thing to scream and be angry at one thing, but then, there was a time and place for it, and nobody really did anything. The American public really didn't do that much. Now, yes, MD could argue for one point, but it's like you got to pick your poisons. It's one thing to say I'm going to be angry and they're all the same and whatnot, but that was one of those moments when American people had an option to then vote for it, and they made the politicians completely railroad, including Mitch himself, this idea that, oh, it's socialism and why not. So you don't get to complain now. It is what it is. That's one of those things where I don't feel sorry for Mitch. He didn't really do anything to aid or help the American people. He did everything in his self-best interest with the lobbyist group that kept putting him into power. Not even once did he try to help Kentucky that well. He then put in that random token black guy who I think was like dating this daughter or some family member, and he disgracefully got kicked out of power too. So it's like, I don't understand, and it's shame on you, Mitch McConnell, because of you we have the Marjorie Taylor Greens and all these random people that came out of nowhere, because you aided to that. That's what we get from you and the rest of the stooges of your political guys that were there that didn't really help. So here we are now in this standstill of nothingness, that we're not getting nothing done, because if the people like you who gave about McCarthy and the rest of them, you're in the pile of doo-doo now because of you guys doing what you did. And I don't feel sorry for none of y'all, but I have my popcorn to eat, so thank you for that.
Yep, that is his legacy. That is definitely his legacy. A lot of the atmosphere in politics right now can be directly attributed to a lot of the actions done by Bitch McConnell. Jeremy, what do you think of Bitch McConnell's legacy?
Personally, I don't care about his legacy because he really from what I gather, didn't really do too much for the people. Um, and as far as legacies, I mean, people tend to always remember the latter part of your career. Case in point, when you look at, athletes or any of that, they look at the end versus everything in between. So you're right on that. They're always going to look at the end of his tenure as the GOP minority major leader, whichever one he was at the time. They're going to look at that old saying, "What have you done for me lately?" Right? Um, it's tarnished. I feel sorry for his health because I don't wish that upon anyone. And I hate to see people in general look that way. I don't like seeing anybody look that way. I don't care what they've done in the past. I don't like seeing that. I have a soft spot for people. I like to see everybody do well. So, but that's me. His legacy is what it is. He made decisions, whether poor or good, in people's eyes, and he has to live with the consequences of the decisions he makes. You know, I make decisions every day, whether they're poor or good in everyone else's eyes. That's to be determined by them, and I'll live with whatever I get. At the end of the day, that's what he needs to do, is live however he is perceived, and just own it, accept it. If he's done wrong, somehow try to amend it. Whether it's, I don't know. I don't know his personal life. I don't know him. I know his politics, from what I gather, are not too good. So that's kind of what I have to say about it.
The irony about Mitch McConnell, he was a major roadblock in healthcare being passed in this country. And he's leaning heavy on healthcare right now with his situation. The irony is not lost on that
You
much.
reap what you sow.
I mean,
And
it's just crazy.
Remember, Van Care, everything come full circle. This is
You
the
will reap what you
same
sow.
situation. The same situation that happened back then with the Obamacare. Remember, the Tea Party was all over Mitch McConnell, trying to get him to do this, do that, and he was coddling the Tea Party at one point until they wanted full control. And then go back into the history books. A lot of people say Mitch McConnell is the reason that the Tea Party died, because he was doing everything the Tea Party was telling him to do. Do this, do that. Until it got to a point where it's like, hey, look, we're just gonna take over the Senate. Damn, what was it? Was it 2015, 2014? It was a year where his seat, it was the primary, and it was a Tea Party candidate that was going against Mitch McConnell at that time. And Mitch McConnell was like, well, what's going on? He was like, I'm doing everything y'all tell me to do. Now y'all want to get me out of here? So everything come full circle. Same situation was happening right now. He tried to do everything that MAGA wanted him to do, and Trump still outed him. You know what I mean? So now take a stand for these last few months of your Senate seat. That's all I'm asking you to do. Whether it be for or against, that ain't my position. I'm just telling you, take a stand.
But there's so much here that is ridiculous. And when you think about it, you're like, oh my God. First of all, Donald Trump directly racially insulted his wife. Did nothing about it. Had crickets. We heard crickets. He had the opportunity to have Donald Trump barred from politics. Could have just impeached him, been done. There would have been nothing. He wouldn't have been no worse off right now. The only difference would have been you would have had a stronger Republican candidate right now in the primary going off to go up against Joe Biden in the general election. But other than that, you're retiring anyway. His reelection isn't up until 26. 26. So 2026. So it would have been no different, really. I mean, he wouldn't have paid any political price or nothing. The only thing that's different is that he just took the insult from Trump and didn't fight back or push back. And whenever he would say something to Trump, it was always in metaphoric language. It was never direct. It was very subliminal. That's ridiculous.
People like to tiptoe around the tulips. What can we say?
Perfect. All right. So we are to that point of the show. We're about to hit the nightcap. We'll go into the nightcap video and then we'll give our final sign off. So we'll be back on the other end.
Is your red line with Prime Minister Netanyahu? Do you have a red line? For instance, would invasion of Rafah, which you have urged him not to do, would that be a red line?
It is a red line, but I'm never going to leave Israel. The defense of Israel is still critical. So there's no red line. I'm going to cut off all weapons so they don't have the Iron Dome to protect them. They don't have. But there's red lines that if he crosses, and he cannot have 30,000 more Palestinians dead as a consequence of going after. There's other ways to deal with the trauma caused by Hamas. It's like look, the first time I went over, I sat with them and I sat with the war cabinet. I said, look, don't make the mistake America made.
All right. That is Joe Biden answering the question of, is there a red line for Israel? Ricardo, what do you think here about his response?
His response was very half-assed, or what's the word? I don't even know how to say it properly. Half-assed, or what? How do you say it? It's
half-assed is right on the money.
I was really hoping that Biden would have a harder stance when it comes to Netanyahu, because for whatever the reason, I feel like Netanyahu, I don't even know how to say his name properly anymore. Netanyahu doesn't do, he could get away with murder at this point, and they will be like, it's in justification of what happened in October. It's now getting to that point where they need to hold him accountable, as just like I'm holding Joe Biden accountable for all of this. If you're told not to, and this is from the greatest, political might right now in terms of geopolitics, if our president is telling you, hey, Israel, in the best interest of the American people and whatnot, please do not invade Rafah, or do not annex Rafah, or do not do such a, which, if most of you don't know, Rafah is part, of the Palestinian section of the West. But I believe it's the West Bank, or is it Gaza? I think it's Gaza. Sorry, section that they're trying to gain, and that's like where Israel believe is the majority of where they're I guess the people that attacked the most are at, or they believe is where they're concentrated more. Whether that's true, it's debatable, but Biden is saying, hey, don't go there. We just entered the month of Ramadan, which is very significant, important in terms of the Islamic faith. Now is not the time, because now you're going to set off a whole bunch of things that I, on my plate, can't really deal with right now, because I'm heading into an election year. What did Netanyahu go up about and say, oh no, we're going to progress forward. We're going to do this because we're going to try to stop another attack again in October. Where I'm going to watch this, and I've said this earlier, I'm going to watch this carefully, is to see where Biden's stance and how it affects Netanyahu. Because if he's putting his foot down and Netanyahu is still progressing forward, it's either something is amiss here, or they're not taking Biden seriously, because, as the most powerful man in terms of a military country in the world, if I'm telling you to stop something out of the best interest of that country and you're not doing it, Clearly, you think you're more better than I am, and that shouldn't be the case. You're just a little speck compared to how the United States is in terms of geopolitics. The enemy of my enemy is my best friend. So if you're not helping me in my particular cause, clearly you think you're better than me. So hey, we're gonna fight this out. So I love to see how these two are gonna, settle this progression going forward. And again, it was a half-assed response from Biden. I expect him to be more staunch, but he's not. He's giving me half-assed, and that's not a good thing to me. I need him to be more staunch and more stern when it comes to Netanyahu, and I expect him to actually have a sit down with him in full interview mode, like how they did Putin, and literally call him out as some crap. And I expect him to do a whole bunch of hey, I said this, I told you not to do this, and they needed to stop. Whether or not that would be, if it's gonna, come about the way I'm expecting it to, it remains to be seen. But I expect Joe to really start putting his foot down, because they're making Netanyahu get away with a lot in terms of murder mode, and I don't like it one bit.
All right, thank you, Ricardo. MD, what's your thoughts here on Biden's red line? All right, I guess MD might be occupied. We'll come back to
I'm
MD.
sorry, I was muted. Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, we can hear you.
Okay,
All right,
my
go
bad.
ahead.
I thought I unmuted. So I'll say on face value, yeah, it was BS. But at the very least, I will say that Biden not necessarily changed the stance, but now he's giving more of an outlook as far as the humanitarian principle of what's going on in Gaza right now. Rafah, and I believe it's because it's Rafah. Rafah is the utmost importance, simply based on the fact that it's bordering Egypt. If anything happens to Egypt in terms of collateral damage or whatever the situation may be, you may end up in a situation where it expands the regional conflict. For good or bad. You know what I mean? That ain't up for me to decide. Also, you got to take in consideration what the Abraham Accords did when Trump was in office. The Abraham Accords was there to try to pacify certain Arab countries in order to gain relations with Israel, just to have a non-conflict resolution with what was going on in the region at that time, even though stuff was still happening, like the stuff that happened in Yemen at that time with what and who was that was bombing Yemen at that time, Ricardo? Well, it wasn't the UAE, Saudi Arabia.
Yes, correct.
Saudi Arabia bombing the hell out of Yemen, and all this stuff was going on. They wanted to make sure that, again, talking about investments and assurances, make sure everything was straight. Hey, just don't mess with Israel. Even to the point where Trump put the embassy in Jerusalem. So a lot of this stuff goes back to that. As far as at least I'll give them credit for trying to bolster the humanitarian effort. I'll at least give them credit for that. But on face value, in terms of red line and all that, that's BS. It just is. You know what I mean? And it's sad. And it's almost as if, we talk about Trump making politicizing certain issues and running campaigns off of it. I kind of feel like Biden gonna trend toward that with this situation. You know what I mean? Just to try to appease these protest votes and all of that, and it shouldn't be that way. You know what I mean? But we'll see.
All right, MD. Jeremy Dunbar, what are your thoughts here on Biden's red line?
I think he was tiptoeing around the tulips and talking out of both sides of his mouth. I think that the man is, like MD said, is trying to pull votes, and that's what they do. They tell you what you want to hear. They're slick talkers. They're salesmen. They got a silver tongue. They know how to use it. They have intelligence to know what the people care about. They know what the latest thing is on people's minds, and that's what they use. The gentleman doesn't care 2 cents about the people. His actions prove it, because if he did, he would have put his foot down when they started committing. Regardless, they would have put his foot down, especially when it came to the genocide. He would have put his foot down immediately if he really cared. Now that the people are pushing back and it's going to hurt his quote unquote election, now he cares. It's self driven. You can see it by his motives. All these men are just self driven. They're not driven for the people. There's a reason that it's for the people, by the people, and of the people, not for the corporation, by the corporation, of the corporation, not for me, by me, and of me. And that's the way they run it. They don't run it for the people. And this is why I keep saying it moreover, because they don't care about you and I. They don't care about the things that are happening. They only care about the financial ramifications in their pocket. Case in point, that's why wars are started, over finances, over what can I get? What can I take over? That's all it's about. It's not about anything else. And the moment we step back and see the situation for what it is, we can call their bluff, and we can bring it to their attention, and truly hold their feet to the fire. You have to hold their feet to the fire. That doesn't mean electing people, because they're all the same. They all have their own personal gain to get from it, and not for the people. This is the difference. They don't care what happens over there. They just don't care. They'll let innocent people die for quote unquote the greater good. Like, how is that good in any sense of the word? How is somebody dying good? Period. It's not. It's a horrible thing. And if they looked at each individual in that way, you would see less of it. But they won't. Biden is the same as Trump, the same as Bush, both the same as Kerry, the same as Clinton, and the list goes on and on and on. Look at Nixon. The man stole, and he wasn't put in prison. Now, if you and I stole, whoo, my good Lord, good night. Click clack is all you're gonna hear. Those cuffs are gonna be right on you, real fast. These men have too much power. They have too much say and too much authority, that they can be career criminals and get away with it, and they can ridicule others who are starving, that have no ends, no means, no nothing. They're hypocrites in every sense of the word. So I can't take them seriously. They tell you what you want to hear. They give word salads that sound nice, because they know how to prey on your feelings. That's what they do. They prey on your feelings. They prey on your emotions. They prey on what your cares and desires are. They don't care about your well-being. I don't know how much more clearer that has to be for people to start understanding that these men and these women are about themselves. Back when the country first started, now there's a lot of things wrong with it, but we're just talking about simply the politics, right? It was a civic duty. They didn't get paid for it. The moment you start making it a career is the moment the greed kicks in. And that's when all this starts to happen. Let them go to work like the rest of us. Do it as a civic duty. Don't get paid for it. You care about the people? That's how you show it. You care about your country? That's how you show it. I go to work to make money. I don't go to work to make best friends, or I go to work to make money, and that's what they're doing, just to make money. That's it.
All right, Jeremy. So you could just turn right around now and do your final thoughts as we end the show.
As always, I thank you guys for allowing me on this platform and being so courteous and truly being kind. I know that we don't agree on a lot of things, but you guys are very respectful, and I greatly appreciate that. It goes a long way with me, and I look forward to our conversations. I enjoy them. I don't mind questions, by all means. You want to pepper me with questions, by all means, ask away. I don't care. I won't shy away from it. Even if I disagree with you, you disagree with me. We can we can do it. We can do it in a good way, you know. So I appreciate. I think this platform is a good example on how people should come together when they disagree on things, because every one of us disagrees on a certain thing, but yet we're not hateful, and we don't talk bad on one another. Yeah, there may be some joking around, but it's in good fun. It's not out of malice. So I commend you guys on your kindness and the way you guys are. And thank you guys again so much. I greatly appreciate your time and your patience with me. And I hope you have a wonderful evening. God bless you all.
Pete, Jeremy.
All right.
Hey, Jeremy, what you got lined up, man, as far as debates, man? What you got coming up?
I don't have any coming up. I had one Saturday with Thomas Smallwood, who's part of the Nation of Islam. I've had a couple with the Church of God in Christ on several topics. I know a lot of people want to discuss the Trinity with me. They want to discuss, are there apostles now? They want to discuss lots of different topics that are in the scriptures that are for their a lot of confusion involved in them, and I thank Trevor for allowing us to have these discussions, because let me tell you, they're not as cordial and soft, and not soft in a bad way, but like respectful in a sense. So you guys, are a good example for some of the knuckleheads like us that may get a little passionate and act a fool at some time or another. But I don't think I'll have any coming up. I was supposed to have one on the Trinity, but the gentleman is no longer on it was supposed to be in April, but he's no longer coming on the show. But yeah, she sent it in there in the link. Thank you, to Kayla. I hope I said your name right. If I didn't, feel free to give me the business. Yeah, so that's it.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, I just got one thing to say before you go, man.
Yes, sir.
Anybody that's on here calling themselves an apostle is a liar.
Nice, Peter. Nice, Peter. I like that. You sounded just like him. Do it again. One more time. One more time. Come on. One more time.
Liar. And it's
That's wonderful. Thank you, MD. I needed that. Thank you.
All right, MD. Your final sign off.
Yeah. Great show as always, man. Pertinent topics tonight. It was a news filled week last week. And hell, Monday. You know what I mean? So yeah, a lot of stuff going on. So check us out. I know Trevor going on a hiatus, but I'm assuming TFP still gonna roll. I'm assuming
all day long.
Yeah, Trevor, we don't get tired. so you know what I mean. So yeah, TFP still gonna roll on, and yeah, man, a lot of stuff. One more quick thing. If you want to know what the anatomy of an authoritarian is, look no further than Trump. Trump just had Viktor Orban, the president of Hungary, who's a known authoritarian ruler, at Mar-a-Lago. I think it was this weekend, and touted how great he was, and he's the boss, and that's what makes a great leader. He's telling you what he want to do to everybody's face. So again, I wouldn't have an issue with a lot of these MAGA maniacs if they just like, hey, look, we want a supreme leader. That's what we want. I wouldn't have an issue. I'll say, okay, we'll let the best man win. But they try to smoke screen it with America first and blah 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 and this and that. Man, I'm done with it, man. I'm done. So again, if you want an example, look no further. And with that, I say peace. I'll see y'all tomorrow, Wrestling with Reality.
All right, MD. Thank you. Ricardo, your final sign off, sir.
Yes, sir. Sir Venkat Extraordinaire, Jerry Dunbar, MD, the political prophet among men. And of course, there are others, Mango Mike, Papa Exo, Trevor, the greatest beard on YouTube, Straight Talk Society, and T Fits Politics. And Tequila, Bones, Maria G, we're missing you this week. It was a fantastic show. I think I agree with Trevor on one thing. we're in this for the long haul, guys. We appreciate the support. We're not in this for likes. We're literally, men, disclosing our political stances and how we feel about, what we see or how it's reflected. And, we're very opinionated, but at the end of the day, we could all have an opinion and be respectful of, our points of view and thoughts. And that's basically what Tape Fist Politics entails. Great show. Hopefully we keep progressing from here on out. I expect the topics to get a little bit more emboldened as we go along. There's the politics of we did religion, we're doing a couple of other stuff in the upcoming weeks. And, we just want to touch on things that we should be talking about and not sugarcoat things and not be censored like how YouTube is doing to get to the masses. But with that being stated, continue. We never stop, Trev, like MD stated. I mean, if you need to take a siesta, that's all great. But resuscitation, damn it, resuscitate. And with that being stated, look forward to the upcoming shows. And Jeremy, I look forward to seeing you. You've actually changed my stance on you being on the show. It's great having you on here, being the second fatalist, and I look forward to seeing you.
Second fatalist?
Fatalist on the show. It's great having you on here. I appreciate your stance and your political views, and I think I know where you're politically on the spectrum, but you don't want to admit it. But it's great having you on here, and we look forward to seeing great debates with you on here as well. So guys.
Don't put me in that Republican or Democrat. I'm neither one of them. I'm not a donkey nor an elephant.
Nah, he ain't even one of those. He a theocrat is what he is. Let's keep it real. He a theocrat. It's all good. And don't be ashamed.
You guys are awesome. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ricardo. I'd like to thank everybody on the world's most dangerous political panel on YouTube. You got Ricardo, MD. You got Sir Others. This week was Others Squared, Mike. And you got Jeremy Dunbar. Of course, Tequila, awesome job as always. We appreciate the support and the astute service that you give us here every week. Peace out to Bones. Bones, awesome. Always great to have Bones in the chat. Maria G, like Ricardo said, wasn't here this week, but we see you. Peace to everybody on the Straight Talk Society. We appreciate the support. We have more and more coming. Next week is when we get into reparations. That's the show that we're going to go MD's territory, MD's land. But I can't wait to get to that. Can't wait to get to that show because there's a lot that we need to cover there. And it's a topic that needs to be constantly talked about because I never thought growing up that this would actually be a possibility, and it's more of a possibility than ever before at any other time. After that, we go to Ricardo land with the politics of sex. So that's going to be a Ricardo specialty. But we have some topics that are lined up, and Ricardo gave me some great ideas. So that'll be that show after next week. So we have a lot coming up, lot to go through, and we will be covering it all here on TFP. So once again, thank you guys for watching this week. We'll see you next week. And until then, peace.
Hey, Venkat. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you while you're. I have a friend who would like the one that Ricardo's talking about because he actually counsels men and women on that kind of topic. So if you could let me know the date, because I would like him to be on that. He's really knowledgeable in that sense, and I think him and Ricardo would probably have some good back and forths, I'm sure.
Hey, that sounds all good to me. Bring him on. It's in 2 weeks. So next week, reparations. The week after is the the politics of sex.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Everyone, have a great evening, and we will see you next week for the reparations episode. Good night.
Good night.
She just said a terrible thing. You know what she said? Shout it out, because I don't want to. Okay, you're not allowed to say, and I never expect to hear that from you again. She said, I never expect to hear that from you again. She said he's. That's terrible. Terrible.